You know what I need just about now? What? Pussy dumb shit.
It started as a Sunday afternoon baseball game. Guys against the girls. Then these rednecks turned out to be real sore losers. That's when things started to get ugly.
I'm gonna kill her!
I want justice!
誰かの助けを待ってるんじゃないだろうね。
It's the 15-year anniversary.
Those dirtbags hunted us down like animals.
メガネぶちか
Drop your weapons, I'll bust your neck! It was an accident.
あいつまだよく聞け
He's back. He's out.
Someone's gonna die here.
It started out as a friendly game of baseball. He just kept coming.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 224 of the 22 Shots of Moodz and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with the homie Double Shot J, also known as the Mexicans. And back in the house, we have the one and only Dave Z from the world's greatest podcast, Exploding Heads Podcast. And of course, I'd be your host, and still forever, the toxic offender, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, dudes?
Wow, I'm happy to be here, and I think you guys did this on purpose. We were just talking before we came on, and we got delayed, and this happened, and this, and we were supposed to record this 3 times, but I think that Moodz orchestrated this because by the time this comes out, it might be opening day of football or baseball. Sorry, football.
You know what?
3 days away from opening season. It's like, boom, take me out to the ball game. It's like perfect timing for this.
Holy shit, dude! I never even thought of that. But you're 100% right. Actually, the Jays opener. It's not it's the season opener, not their home opener, but it is this Friday, and this is when the podcast will officially drop for the public. Will be on Friday. So you're right. How weird is that?
That is
it's fucked up. Because I was thinking, I'm like, why are they doing baseball now? Like, where is this coming from? And then I'm thinking, well, I'm not a big baseball guy, so I'm like, it can't be this soon. And I'm listening to sports talk because the draft's coming up, and I'm doing there's a lot of NFL news and stuff. So I'm listening. Oh yeah, baseball's coming in a couple. And I'm thinking, son of a bitch. Well, here we are. Now they're doing it. Now it makes sense.
It honestly is purely coincidental that, I mean, we got delayed for a month and then it's going to drop on opening day. But what had happened was one of the films here was a Patreon pick. And we didn't really know what to do with it. It was Battlefield Baseball. And then we were just kind of brainstorming. And I was like, well, why don't we just make a killer baseball themed show? Because there's other films out there that have to do with baseball and killing and shit. And so we added in Blood Games, which I'd actually reviewed on the show before. And then we added in the newer film Billy Club in there too. But there is other ones, I believe, too. So
yeah, there's actually a surprisingly a lot amount of like sports horror films. Like there's a basketball one.
Yeah.
There's another. There's one called The Catcher or something. It's another baseball.
Yep.
Themed one from the 90s, I believe.
Yep.
Wait,
crazy.
What's the basketball one? Now you got me. I never heard of a basketball.
What is it? Orange, the Orange Man or something?
Wow. Never heard of this.
I'm not even sure what that is. But you know what I just realized? All these movies start with B, which is B for baseball.
I was just going to say that.
Blood Games, Battlefield Baseball, and Billy Club. It just makes sense that it's a baseball theme.
Triple B's.
That's so weird, crazy. Man. That is really, really strange. I was
going through my notes and it was BBB. I was going to say that. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's
we should do a sequel, a sports show with that basketball movie and like 2 other sports. If they have, there's Blades. That's about golf, right? It's not a good movie, but
yeah, there's also like I said, the Catcher one, and then I think there's that really bad basketball one too called like Night of the Dribbler or something.
Oh, Night of the Dribbler is like, it's pretty much a comedy. It's like not even a horror film. It's bizarre. It's more of a comedy. It's ridiculous, but I think there's actually enough to make just a golf themed show. Like, I'm not even joking, man. There is like at least 3 or 4 golf horror films. It's crazy. But it you know, it's not really that surprising that there's this many sports themed horror films out there, because I mean, when you look at like insect horror or like monster, like whatever it is, there's a movie about every living creature on the planet. Like, just try to think of something that they haven't made a movie of. It's ridiculous. There's zombievers, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, there's literally like a handful of cockroach movies.
Right? Like, there's tick movies, there's cockroaches, there's ants, there's every little
There's
mosquitoes.
like 4 mosquito movies, bro.
It does it. Slugs.
I want to see like a butterfly, man. Butterfly or like a potato bug. Some strange thing, but enlarged.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Badass.
slugs and there's even worms with squirm. You know, like it just never ends. There's something for everything out there.
You know that weird crab that like has like the pointy nose? I forget what it's called. You know what I'm talking about? That weird crab that has like the like long like stingray looking thing.
It's a crab?
Yeah. I forget what they're called. They're called like shit. I forget what
Is
they're
it the
called.
Boston crab?
No, it's like a weird looking crab. It's like a circle and it's like it looks like a disc almost, and then it's like has like a point.
Are these the ones that you found in your pants one time?
No, shut up.
Scabies.
What the hell is that? I forget what they're called, but just made a movie with those.
With scabies or giant crabs?
Oh,
No,
God, stop saying
I don't
scabies.
even know if they're giant, but it's like that weird crab, you know? Like, I know you guys have seen it
It's
before.
not the hermit crab, right?
No.
I think I know what you're talking about,
It
but
doesn't even look like a crab.
I'm pretty sure I don't know what it's called, though.
No. I can't even picture it. A crab that looks like a stingray?
No, it has like a stingray like type of tail type thing, but
Wow.
it's like a barb.
It sounds like an alien. It sounds like a, what do you call it? What's that thing called? From Aliens. What's that word?
From Aliens? The Xenomorphs?
Yeah, xenomorph. That's what I think of when I picture something with a long tail like that or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't
Some
look
weird-
like a regular crab. I'm trying to think of the damn name for him.
You know, I bet you could even probably find 3 movies that are hockey-based that could fall into this category.
There has to be.
You could theme out a hockey one, man. It's crazy, dude. How many movies are out there and like, yeah.
It's a horseshoe crab.
That's what it is.
Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, totally. Right.
They just made a movie with those, like a killer.
That is
horseshoe crabs.
that's ridiculous. Horseshoe crabs. Of course.
I actually heard it was
Here's what
pretty
I want to
good.
know. Really? Horseshoe crab? Do they fly around? Or they just...
I don't know.
Crawling.
It's like an asylum type movie, but
Oh,
from what
yeah.
I understand, it's like oh, this is like what like the asylum movie should be or whatever. But I don't know. You never know with stuff like that. There used to be like some entertaining ones back in the day. Like I love Mosquito, which was like the prototype for stuff like that. Did you ever see
haven't seen
Mosquito, Dave?
No, I want to. We were going to do it when you came on that show, and it didn't happen. And I want to watch it but I want to watch it to review with you. I'll save it for one day.
It's 94.
It's 94, so you can watch it in prep.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
How the fuck is this not on my list? And you haven't mentioned it.
It has a good.
Well, I'll do it just for that reason.
It has a really
Yeah.
good release too from Synapse. It's a really good Blu-ray. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I don't understand, and I keep it's off topic, but we started talking about it earlier. How is there no football movie? Football is the most popular fucking sport. There's football movies, but a
Yeah.
football horror movie. How do we not have one of those? Just think of the things you could do with football too.
Yeah.
Seriously, you can fucking kick somebody's head through for a field goal. You can
The
do all kinds
closest
of
the
shit.
closest thing to a football horror movie would be The Faculty.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there's that scene where they're like fucking sticking slugs in everyone's ears while playing football.
Oh yeah, or Prom Night 3. Wasn't there a football situation in Prom Night 3?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Something.
there's.
Yeah.
It's not like the focus point or nothing, but I think that the
No, not
dude
at
played
all.
on the football team, kind of thing. So
Yeah, dude.
Isn't it weird though? Football, as popular as it is, everybody loves. Even people that don't like sports, a lot of people know and love football. It's just it is fucking. Sport,
You're right though. You're right though, man. Because I know a lot of people that don't really care for football that watch. Remember when the TV show Friday Night Lights came out?
Yeah.
And I believe
yeah.
I think it was after the movie. Yeah, I think it was the TV show that came after the movie. But anyways, people got into the TV show and really enjoyed it for what it is. And you know, it wasn't people that were really digging football and stuff. I thought that was a really good show, actually.
There's a zombie movie called Play Dead, and it has a football zombie on the cover.
Yeah, I swear there's a football one. I'm trying to
might
think
be.
of it, but
There has to be some
There's
low
gotta
budget
be.
thing that I haven't heard of.
There's
Like
gotta be.
Moodz brought up these 4 or 3 golf movies. I thought of Blades. I guess the only other ones must have been they're still low budget or obscure. I don't know what they are. I don't know.
Yeah, I have
So
another one in my
like
collection. Is like Greenhouse. I can't remember what it is. What is it?
It is ridiculous, though, dude.
How about tennis? Is there tennis horror movie?
That would actually be wow.
You know what?
The
The
Greenskeeper.
things that shoot the balls out.
There's literally a movie called The Greenskeeper.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Is that the other golf one?
it's a low budget film, and I believe. Let me see. Yeah, it is from 2002.
All
So
of put that out.
I'm not sure
like-
if no, it's like a low budget DVD, but it was from 2002. So you may have watched it in prep. I don't know. I think I did.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
There's
ridiculous.
bowling. There's 2 instances of bowling. Obviously, there's Kingpin, but then there's the bowling thing that happened in Cabin Fever. So it's
Oh, and gutter balls.
Of course, Gutterballs
Well,
is
what did
probably
I
the
call
most
it?
famous one.
What did I call it? I wanted to say gutter balls. What did I call it? Kingpin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always fucking call it that by
yeah, not the
accident.
Woody
Yeah,
Harrelson
I
movie,
meant gutter
Kingpin.
balls.
No, Gutterballs is probably the most famous bowling one, which is really cool because,
Definitely.
yeah. Actually, unfortunately, that bowling alley they shot that film, it doesn't exist anymore. It's shut down. Sucks.
And then there's like a couple roller skating ones too. I don't know if it's really a sport.
Well, it's not really a sport; it's more of an activity. But I think the Ginger Dead Man 3 Saturday Night Cleaver, I believe, is set in a roller dome.
Right. And then there's that
Oh, boy.
isn't there one with a werewolf or something like that? Werewolf, like some sort of werewolf.
Does it
roller?
happen in Wolf Cop? Does he go bowling or something?
No, in Wolf Cop 2,
Teen Wolf, he bowls.
he does actually. He does bowl. In Wolf Cop 2, that one actually has to do with hockey. It's the premise is ridiculous.
Nice.
They have like a brewery in an ice rink facility. It's ridiculous. It's so funny, man. Man, Wolf Cop 2 is so funny. It is literally the epitome of Canadian stereotypes, which is done obviously on purpose, but it's just like really a brewery in an ice rink.
That's ridiculous.
Can't get any more kidding. You just got to see it, man.
Wow.
It's got some great moments. You guys ever seen Wolf Cop 2? You guys ever see the first?
I've never even seen Wolf Cop 1.
Oh man,
No, me neither.
Oh dude, well, they're a great double feature, man. They're really funny. Yeah.
I don't know if they're my type of movie, so I've avoided. You never know though. Like I was never gonna watch Zombievers, and I watched it for ABC's Hidden Horror, and I quite liked it. It wasn't anywhere near as goofy as I thought it was.
Oh, it's funny, man.
Oh,
It's got-
Zombievers is awesome.
It's got some really funny
cool.
jokes in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I was just thinking that title would be over the top goofy, and I don't like over the top goofy. So,
That's
but
how
I
Black
like-
Sheep is. Like Black Sheep, you would think it would be like just horrible, but it's actually pretty
Oh
funny.
yeah,
Zombies.
zombie sheeps.
I gotta check that one. I never saw that one either, man.
It has that
so
New
many I
Zealand.
avoided.
It has that New Zealand humor in it too, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely does.
because it's a New Zealand flick.
See, it's
But-
hard to tell what like New Zealand humor, like I love Deathgasm, and I think that what do you call it is the best horror comedy ever. Freaking What We Do in the Shadows. That's New Zealand too, and but the thing is, those movies are great. Dead Alive for me, I think it's a quality movie. I just don't. The humor and some of the stuff isn't really my cup of tea. So but like, there's two different types. You know what I'm saying? Like Deathgasm, I think was very funny, and What We Do.
Oh,
in the
I
Shadows
love
is
Deathgasm, and it gets
extremely
better
funny.
the more.
But I
times
don't
you
like
watch it.
Housebound, and I'm not over the moon with Although I do like Bad Taste, but I haven't watched it in years. But when I was a kid, I used to always watch Bad
Have you
Taste.
ever seen Meet the Feebles?
Meet the Feebles is so good too.
No, but I'm going.
The
to
first
watch it in
man, the
review.
first 5 Peter Jackson movies are just amazing, man, in my opinion. But Housebound, that's like legitimately one of my favorite films of like the last 20 years. I love Housebound. I've watched it so many times. I love the humor in that. But I guess it's apparently kind of an acquired taste, I guess. But I love the lead
Yeah,
chick in that
it didn't
film.
make me laugh. One scene made me laugh. I remember something happened. Somebody was sneaking in somewhere, and somebody had false teeth, and they shot out and they went somewhere. I remember laughing at that.
I think it's
and
more.
I don't remember any more humor to me.
I don't know if it's that type of comedy where it's like make you laugh out loud, belly laugh kind of thing. I think it's just like more situational humor, and but it's still kind of dark though too, right? And the lead chick is just fuck. She's so good in the film though. Like she's just such a bitch, but she pulls it off. The character's so well. So that's what kind of sells it for me. But I love the atmosphere. Like I love the whole setup to the film. It's kind of unique, but it just feels like a New Zealand film to me. You know, it's got that.
Right.
I don't know. It just has that appeal. Wish they did more films.
Yeah. They were supposed to make a Deathgasm 2.
You know, I was just going to ask you whatever happened to that sequel, because I knew that there was supposed to be, and I thought it was in production, or maybe it was a Kickstarter. I don't know what happened with that one, but I remember there's supposed to be one, and it never happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to it, honestly.
Because I thought maybe it was supposed to be a crowdfunded thing, because the first one wasn't, right? It was a film that was made, and then I think they tried to fund the second one.
I don't know.
I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, and maybe that's why it didn't happen. Maybe they tried to raise the money and it just didn't work out, like a lot of films. So
I don't get that though. If they had enough money to make the original, and the original, you know, it was successful, you would think that the second time around they would have some residuals from the first.
Well, you think so, because it became pretty popular, like in media sales.
Yeah.
And it must have done pretty well. I mean, it was all over the place. You know,
even Walmart had it. Didn't they have to rename it or something?
Probably.
They couldn't call it Deathgasm.
Yeah, they called it like Apocalypse or Heavy Metal Apocalypse or something.
Yeah, it was like what was the other one that Walmart recently had? It was Christmas Horror Story, and it was like what was it? Just Christmas Story,
Holiday Horror Story,
or Holiday Horror Story? Or no? Did they still have horror in the title?
So ridiculous.
Oh my god, it's so
that
dumb.
Is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Because like, that doesn't make any sense. Because how could they sell Charlie Brown Christmas and Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story? How come this has to be the one to be changed to Holiday?
Because it's got horror in the title.
Yeah,
it's already offensive.
So ridiculous, dude.
But so like if Black Christmas or Christmas Evil were ever at like a store like that, that's fucking weird, man.
Well, they're kind of picking and choosing, man. That's straight politics right there. Because I mean, if Walmart is in the game of not trying to offend people by having, you know, holiday type theme movies on their shelves, like that say Christmas and Easter and stuff like that, they should be pulling those ones too. Then it's bullshit.
I hear you. I don't want them to pull anything, but
of course,
don't make them.
It's bullshit that they would even do. Really, like you're offending people. Come on, like give me a fucking break. But no, they're just picking and choosing because they're easy targets, man. Horror films have always been easy targets for that type of political bullshit, right?
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's funny. I was watching some old documentaries recently, and I was watching like on Friday nights when I hang out with my friends. A lot of times we'll just watch like documentaries, shit that happened in the 80s. So I was watching a special, like a Geraldo show, and they were talking about Satanic Panic, and then another one was talking about heavy metal concerts, and these are the fans of heavy metal, and you should see the propaganda and the way they talked about heavy metal fans and what lyrics they decided to cherry pick and everything else. And same thing with the Satanist people. Like they would say this, and this, but it was so bad. Like to see it now as an adult, knowing what's actually going on, because I know a little bit about Satanism and I know a lot about heavy metal. So I'm going back and I'm watching this now and hearing the things they're saying. I'm like, you are just straight up lying. This is propaganda at its worst.
It was all propaganda. And they read lyrics out of context and stuff. And that's the problem with reading lyrics out of context, is that, you know, if you can take anything out of context, right? And, you know, it just doesn't sound good if you just say the one line, right? Like, I mean, you have to have the context to make it sense, but they're not going to give you that because they're not selling you that. They want you to think the shit's evil.
And
it's all political.
They lied a lot too, right?
Yeah,
like they over exemplified like how much cursing was in the music too, where like they used to do that to Marilyn Manson too, right? Like and Dee Snider.
Well, look at the whole
Twisted Sister was fighting, PMRC.
Yeah, the whole shit with Tipper Gore, man, in the early 80s with Dee Snider was amazing. But like what I always remember, like, I mean, that was a little bit too early for me. I remember seeing the clips of Dee Snider, like, up at the whatever the fuck it is, man, Parliament, whatever the fuck it is. But I always remember, the reason why albums end up getting parental advisory stickers on the records and stuff was because of Two Live Crew and Luke. Yes, sir. Right? Because they attacked the shit out of Two Live Crew so bad, and then Luke did the same thing that Dee Snider did. He went up there and fucking explained everything too, and then that was kind of like the medium. So we're gonna put this on the records and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, whatever. But they were like looking to ban the shit. Like straight up fucking banned it, and then it never obviously got banned.
Silly now, right? Like,
right.
Looking back on it, it's like, oh my god, like you guys were on something.
So it
did the opposite effect anyway. Like the parental advisory sticker just meant that it was cooler, and everybody,
of course, absolutely, dude,
so they're
absolutely
fucking idiots to begin with.
Right? It was a great marketing tool towards the kid. They didn't even realize that, man. It's like you saw that parental advisory, and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some fucking language on this motherfucker. Like, yeah, pop that pussy.
Yeah, dude.
Right? And
yes.
then it was hilarious. Real. It was so funny because after Luke fought that shit against the government and stuff, and then they of course he came out the solo record banned in the USA, right? And it was just like it was the most vulgar fucking thing ever. Like he did this record so over the top, and it was just he was proving a point, right? Oh, it was great, man. He pissed off everybody, man. It was amazing.
Yep, he was motherfucking them all. Fuck Martinez. Fuck everybody. The judges. The fucking everybody that was trying to ban everything. Dude, if Luke. People don't talk about this. At least I don't hear anybody talking about it. But if Luke would have laid down on that and not fought back as hard as he did, there's a good chance we don't have like music may have been censored from that moment on.
Right.
Like all the artists that have come out since, they owe a debt to Luke.
Oh, I've said this a million times, man. I said Luke is a very, very important figure in not just hip hop music, but in music in general. Because he fought against that censorship and shit like that. And he doesn't really get the credit because I don't think people really know the story of why there's parental advisory stickers and who fought for this and why there isn't that censorship and shit. And, but I mean, the greatest publicity out there is the bad publicity that these politicians are giving you and shit. Like, oh, they're trying to like denounce all these rap groups and heavy metal groups and shit like that. But meanwhile, what they're doing, the record sales went up like 70%. Because of it, right? It was the greatest shit ever for the music industry. It was awesome. So fuck them. Even for trying to censor, freedom of speech, right? It's bullshit. I've always been super against it and like fuck them for it. And it backfired on them hardcore, and the music industry never sold more records at that time.
Right? It's insane that even happened. It happened with music, and see, I was there living it. This is why I'm so passionate about it. In the 80s, first the MPAA came in and started censoring our fucking horror movies. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end of the 80s, early 90s, because Two Live Crew, this is the thing about Two Live Crew, As Nasty As They Want to Be was their third album. Nobody gave a fuck. They said, we want some pussy on the first album and throw the dick. There was a little bit of cursing. Their second album, Move Something, definitely had more sexual innuendo and more cursing, a lot more. Nobody said shit until it crossed over and the song Me So Horny got popular. Then all of a sudden, all these white folks heard about this fucking band because it got so popular and they started fighting. And there you go.
That was the problem.
Until it got popular.
That was the problem.
Dude.
It wasn't a problem when the music was just, when it was blazing in the ghettos and it was just, applying to, black people and Hispanics and things like that. Nobody gave a shit. But when you're right, as soon as it bled over into, beyond the white picket fences, it was a fucking problem, man. It was a major fucking problem. And, it's scary. It was scary to white folks, man. They're like, no, we can't be having that shit. That's polluting our kids' ears. They're doomed. They're fucking doomed if they're going to hear, we want some pussy. But nowadays they want to be in the sports weekend. Oh my God, those records are, Jesus, dude. Like,
they're great.
They're so great, dude. Like Two Live Crew.
They are.
Oh man, those are very memorable records. And thank God for Luke.
For sure. Yeah, dude, for real. Yeah, my mother used to get so mad at me because she heard me hearing everything like NWA coming up and Luke and the early Two Live Crew and even Andrew Dice Clay was out of that.
Oh yeah,
and that got real controversial.
Hickory dickory
but I was there to live all that.
Yeah.
Fucking they're trying to take the violence out of movies and then they're trying to take the curse words. And they didn't even last long. Like, people didn't really start cursing on a record, like, a lot until, like, 88. Until, like, when Straight Outta Compton came out, it was really mind-blowing to even me. And I came up on everything else. So, like, 88, like, and then 91 or 1990, I want to say, is when fucking Nasty As They Want to Be comes out. So they only had, like, not even a 10-year frame of cursing on records, and they were already going to remove completely. It was crazy shit going on.
They tried to take that shit one step further with those Two Live Crew records too, man. Like So they passed the law. Okay, we're going to put parental advisory stickers on here, and that'll prevent people from buying it. Yeah, that one's fucking idiots. But so they did take it one step further, and I know it wasn't like every store, but there was certain spots and shit that kind of complied with this thing, and they were putting basically like, you know, like almost like a black foil over the covers of the Two Live Crew records and shit because of the sexual
asses.
Yeah, because there was asses and there was chicks in bikinis and things like that, right? For the sports, you know, nationally wannabe kind of thing. So they were selling the records like that. And I remember seeing Two Live Crew records like that. And I also remember seeing like the early Cannibal Corpse albums because they were so fucking gory that they were selling in certain stores. Those covers were even covered up too. And I was like, damn, all you wanted to do was see what was under that black foil. You're like, fuck, I'm buying that record blind as fuck right now. Like totally, all they were doing was making people buy this shit even more. Right? They get total backfire, but you know, yeah.
It was a crazy time. And like basically Two Live Crew and Luke, they're like what Friday the 13th was to the MPAA. They made examples out of them for the rest of their fucking, every Friday the 13th thing came out. They fucking, you know, they cut, because we talk about it all the time. You see movies that came out in this year, and like, how come Friday the 13th is so fucking chopped up, and yet this one was not? And we're like, well, I guess they just had a boner about Friday the 13th. They fucking didn't like them. And the same thing with Two Live Crew. Luke had to fucking face harassment everywhere. He even had, remember they shut him right down when they were performing. They fucking arrested him. I mean, it happened to NWA before him, and it happened to fucking Jim Morrison in the 60s. Yeah. But still, you know, it's just... there's definitely different eras of, you know, people getting fucking totally shut out and the censorship coming down on them hardcore for sure, man. But I will admit, though, like, Two Live Crew shows, man, were absolutely something that you had to see to believe. The first time I ever saw Two Live Crew was in 2000 or 2001, and I saw them at a famous strip club in Vancouver called the Cecil. Now, the Cecil was famous for having, like, A-list porn stars come in there and strip and stuff. It was awesome. Like, you always paid a hefty cover charge in there, but, like, you would see people like Jenna Jameson in there and shit. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was a really, really high-class place, but it was fucking crazy, dude. Like, in 2000, you'd spend, like, $10-12 cover to get in, and they had a 2-drink minimum, and each beer was, like, $12. And this is, like, 2000, bro. Like, remember when beer was cheap? You were paying, like, 3 times as much for one beer. So you get in the door and you buy your 2 beers, you're $40 deep. It's like, what the fuck just happened? And like, I'm a broke ass student, right? So anyways, I went to the strip club a couple times and shit. But anyways, I was listening to this local late night hip hop radio show, and you used to pay to go on there, but they used to have contests all the time and shit, and they were giving away 2 free tickets to the Cecil show. So when Two Live Crew would come into town, they would always do 2 different types of shows. They would do their X-rated strip club show, and then they would go and play on Richard, aka Dicks on Dicks, and it would be like an all ages show, and then they would tame it down. They wouldn't have the fucking strippers and stuff on stage. So, which is kind of smart, right? So you get 2 shows, you get 2 different kind of crowds and stuff. But so I won tickets to the strip club show, and so me and my buddy, we go in there, and I'm just like, I'm so stoked to see that, because I've heard of their live shows in the strip clubs, and I was like, okay, is it really that crazy? Oh my god, man. This shit was fucked up, man. They had fucking strippers 69ing on the stage, and like there was like it was fucking porno. It was a fucking porno show, man. It was nuts, dude. And Two Live Crew was so good too. Like they performed so well, and it was such a blast. It was like something you'd never see again. Like, you just wouldn't see that shit, man. It's just no way.
It was nuts. We walked
so
out of there, and I was like, whoa.
Whenever you think about how uptight we used to be, like I am glad that we live in an era where it's like calmed down a little bit, but like even going way back to the like
which is kind of ironic, because now everything's almost even worse. Like you can't say anything these days without offending somebody.
But at least
you could curse all you want, but just don't use any type of fucking certain words, slanders.
But you know? But you can't even joke about shit anymore, apparently. Like you'd never want to make a G.I. Jane 2 joke about someone's wife, because you'll get smacked the motherfuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of world that we're living in, because if Chris Rock made that joke even 10 years ago, Will Smith probably would have looked at his wife and said, "You signed up for G.I. Jane 2?" Right? You know what I'm saying, bro? Like he would have been like, "Bro, I didn't know that shit." You know, like, it would have been a joke. But it's not a joke anymore, because everybody's so fucking uptight about everything. And I understand that Will Smith smacking out Chris Rock didn't have a lot to do with the actual joke. It's the built up aggression and frustrations he's had with Jada too, though, over the last bunch of years and stuff. But it doesn't mean you go and smack someone up for doing his job. What do guys do at the Oscars? Chris Rock's job is to make jokes and roast people. This is what you do at the Oscars. This is literally his job. You can't get mad. I saw the funniest meme. Like, obviously the memes went crazy after this, but I literally busted out laughing at this one so fucking hard. They're like, I can't remember exactly how the meme went, but they're like, you know, the Academy thought it was so crazy that Will Smith smacked out Chris Rock that they actually gave him a statue of Jada. Because he won an Oscar, right? And the statue's a bald head.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
Dude, for 5 minutes, I had tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, they rewarded him literally with a statue of Jada, a golden statue of Jada. I was fucking roaring, man. I couldn't stop laughing. I was dying, man. I was like, oh my God, that is the best one I've seen so far. It was so funny.
The poor bastard. He's in a situation that a lot of guys get into. Because he laughed at first, and then you can't see it there, but I bet there's another angle, and she probably looked at him and gave him a fucking look. Like, you better do something, motherfucker. And then, so he has to do it now. But that's how I picture
somebody did make a good point. They're like, why the fuck didn't Jada stop him from going up there? Like, you know, the second you get up,
she's down.
But like,
she's troublesome, dude.
But like, he's lucky that Denzel didn't come to the rescue, man. And like, he said some shit not only to Will, but he also said something to some people that were wanting to kick him out of the Oscars and stuff, right? Denzel kind of saved the day, and like, the Academy didn't want to even have him back and shit. And you know, I don't know what the fuck Denzel said, but like, you just can't do shit like that anymore. I mean, I don't know if it was ever acceptable to just walk up and smack a comedian in the face. But,
well, no.
You know, I mean, could you imagine, dude? Like, there's so many comedians out there that have made a living off roasting people and shit. Look at Robin Williams. All the people, like, actually, Robin Williams actually had people jump up on stage at him earlier in his career because he was so good at roasting people, right? But why are you at a comedy show then? You know, if you're going to get offended by jokes.
To be fair, though, I think it was a bit unfortunate because of the fact that she had a medical condition and he didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because you don't really. That's a little poor.
That's true.
If you do know that.
No,
know?
Chris Rock knew that she had alopecia. I
can kind of see where
he knew. I think Chris Rock knew that she had alopecia.
He said he didn't know.
Okay, well, you know what? He said, she said, whatever. It is what it is. But I mean, it was pretty well documented that she had alopecia. That's why she was bald, because she started losing her hair, so she shaved her fucking head. It only makes sense if, as a woman, you do something like that. But you know, I don't know how he wouldn't have known that. Or maybe he just forgot in the moment and the joke was just too good to pass off. I don't know.
Right?
But either way, I mean, come on. You know, it's still should have been a harmless rip.
I don't know, bro. I mean, some people are sensitive about stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but at the end of the day, Chris Rock's not trying to be malicious. He's literally doing his job. He roasted everybody. You know,
okay, but being roasted and being roasted about something that you can't control is a bit different, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's like kind of low hanging fruit. You know, you don't attack someone's like physical deformity or something. You know what I mean? Like, I could kind of see if that was like my wife, I'd be like, really, motherfucker? Like, we're going there? You know what I mean? I could kind of see. Now, I do understand too that he's a comedian and that's his job. But at the same time, it's like there's other things you can make fun of than something that is literally out of someone's hands. It's like you don't want to make fun of someone missing an arm, right?
Yeah, but check it.
Maybe
when
you don't.
When people get roasted, they go there. That's what a roast is.
Yeah.
And that's what he did at the thing. And he's done it there before. He did it at the VMAs before. He's done it for years. And if you ever watch like a real roast, have you ever like watched a celebrity roast? They used to put them on like E! Back in the day. Yeah. They go there all the time where half the real good jokes, people in the audience are going, ooh, because they know they went too far. But you don't get mad about it. You know you're going to get fucking rid of it.
Yeah.
Right, but this wasn't a roast.
Well, technically, it's not a full-blown roast
show.
But, you know, that still's been going on for years and years. Whoever hosted those things before. I remember when Billy Crystal and, you know, and they used to do it and shit. Like, that's what you did. You just roasted the guests, which are the Hollywood A-list stars. You know, it is what it is.
Right.
But...
And he does that. Don't you remember on the VMAs? He talked shit about Britney Spears, Ricky Martin, and fucking Moby all in 1 year on the fucking stage. He was busting their balls. Nobody said shit.
The only time I watched a lot of those roasts.
the topic was the hair, right? It's like, I think that's where the issue comes in, is that it's a medical condition. It's like, it's not saying like you're a slut. It's like, yeah, okay, that's funny.
He probably didn't know, because I mean,
that's what he said. He didn't know.
That's what I'm saying. He probably thought it was her style. She decided, I'm going to start doing this fucking style and shaving my head, and he poked fun at it.
You know, I mean, okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. Making fun of medical conditions is honestly not funny. But
what if you were walking down the street and somebody said something to your wife about a medical condition? You know, obviously different context.
Yeah,
be like,
totally different context.
You know what I mean? So I could but it's not that far of a bridge either to embarrass your wife in front of a bunch of other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whether it's a joke or not, there's certain, you know, things that are a little off the table, in my opinion. But at the same time, I do think that he just made a mistake. Will Smith is like overreacted because it is just a joke.
I think he did too, and I think there's a different level of, you know, approaching medical conditions too. I mean, let's face facts here. I mean, alopecia is not a life-threatening medical condition. It's an unfortunate.
Right, but for a woman, dude, that loses.
That's what I'm saying. It's an unfortunate medical condition.
That's a bit of a sensitive issue.
Yeah,
and she said she struggled with it.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you know, if Chris Rock said that he didn't know that she actually had that, and she was just, you know, pulling some fucking Demi Moore shit, then it is what it is. You know, whose word? You know, but yeah, you don't make fun of people's serious medical conditions. I mean, if they're life threatening and shit, like it's like making jokes at cancer and shit. That's not fucking funny. But you know, I've watched a lot of those roasts over the years, and the only time that I ever thought somebody went too far in an actual roast was Amy Schumer. She was roasting Steve-O. And
about Ryan Dunn.
And right? She went off about Ryan Dunn, and I was like, bro, I was like, that's not really funny, because he fucking died, and it was like his best friend. And like, you could see Steve-O was not happy, but he didn't smack a bitch up. And in that moment, he might have taken one of those tampon commercials and, you know, I would, you know, and beat the shit out of her with a box of tampons, you know, but, but like, yeah, that wasn't very funny because it was kind of fresh. And, you know, it was like his best friend, and it was very tragic and shit. And like, and the jokes were just mean.
Right.
Like, that's really mean.
Yeah.
You know, that was probably the only time I'd ever saw a roast and was like, bro, like, that's
listen,
not good.
I don't believe anything should be off limits, but there's going to be consequences if you say something that's a little too fucked up.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think we should put cap on like what we can actually, what's allowed to be said.
I'm going to give Chris Rock the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know, and he made a great joke. If she had shaved her head willingly, he made a great fucking joke. You know?
Definitely.
So.
I agree.
Right. I mean, it was good. You know, the irony is that, like, or I wouldn't say irony, but more coincidental. I'd actually watched, I didn't even know the Oscars were on because, you know, I hate the Oscars. I hate award shows in general. I think they're all garbage. But I'd actually was watching, or I just finished, whatever, at the same time the Oscars was on. I watched Bad Boys, the third one. Yeah, it's not very good.
I saw you watch that.
Yeah,
I've never seen any.
Is it called For Life, or is that?
Yeah, Bad Boys for Life, and it just felt like it was like 17 years after the sequel. You know, but it wasn't even the movie. Like, the movie itself wasn't that bad. Like, Will Smith was pretty good, and he's always, you know, decent and stuff. Martin Lawrence was fine. It was the storyline was fucking stupid. It was just so lame. So, but it was just weird that it's not like I watch a lot of Will Smith movies, and I just happened to watch one on his big night at the Oscars.
Yeah, it's funny. I just happened to watch a Will Smith movie for the first time like 2 weeks ago. My wife wanted me to see it, so we all watched it. The three of us. It was The Pursuit of Happiness. That was a
dude, that movie's sad, bro.
Yeah, that movie is
sad.
sad.
It's a good one though. It's a true story, and it ended up nice. But I mean, to see some stuff was sad, but I never saw that one, so I was like, how about that? That's a good one. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, that thing, and that's the only thing I saw from the Oscars, because like you, Moodz, I don't watch any award shows or care about them whatsoever. I could avoid this thing. I'm not even on social media, and I was getting texts in the morning about it and videos, and I gotta tell you, just after 1 hour, I was already fed up with the memes. I'm like, I'm so glad.
Dude, me
Dude,
too, bro.
I was so annoyed, man, because like I really only ever go on Instagram, and I clicked on. I didn't even know until the next morning. I'm like kind of scrolling through it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on? And it was like literally every single person I'm following had posted a meme of Will Smith. I was like, oh, and by like, this is 8 a.m, and by noon I was like, enough is enough. I'm done with this shit, bro. It was so overplayed. I was like, this isn't even funny. And I let it rest. And it was like 2 days later, I saw that one about the statue, and I literally busted out laughing. I was like, that's the best.
That is funny, though.
It was fucking funny, man. It was so good.
But I'm nowhere. I'm not on social media, so I didn't even fucking see. I just saw literally if someone put it in a group text or a freaking chat on Messenger, that was enough that it only took me. Like, I got up at 6 a.m. and I saw the first one because it happened the night before. By the time I got to work and I was out in the field and it was like 9 o'clock, I shut off my notifications. I said, I'm done. I said, I don't even want. I'm so sick. There's two things. If I never hear the words Will Smith or Ukraine again, I'll be a happy man.
Right.
That's all I fucking hear about. Will Smith, Ukraine. Well, I don't even watch the news, and I can't fucking avoid this shit.
Right.
And I'm off social media. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Not to get into another word. I'm just saying that's all I hear about.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I get that, man. Oh, I'm like the same way, man. I try to avoid with my Instagram, most of the shit that I'm seeing there's really no political talk and stuff, but every once in a while when a meme or a situation goes viral, then I have to stay off for a day or two because it's just literally the same shit. Everyone's doing the same shit. I'm like, really? Like, just post what you're usually doing, man.
Right. It gets old so quick.
Oh,
At least
so
that's how I
quick.
see it. I mean, people are having fun, so we shouldn't knock it. It's just, for me, it gets old quick, and I have to get pull off. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, since we're here, I guess there is something that we have to address, JP.
Oh yeah.
So this is gonna be like ripping a Band-Aid off. Just gonna get this over with. So we had, I guess, kind of an incident on the last episode that we recorded, the episode 223, which episode was that? I don't even remember what we reviewed on.
Was it about babies or something? Was it about babies, that
blood.
episode?
Oh, it was the pregnancy horror one.
Yeah.
So anyways, we did definitely had, okay, so the short and long of this is that for the people that listen to the show, they know what was said and stuff, but essentially Jeremy said something on the show that, me and JP do not advocate for whatsoever. And Jeremy has said a few things over the years on the show that we are very much against and do not put up with, basically. So we have been kind of forced to move forward with the show without Jeremy. This was like a mutual decision between the three of us, so don't be trying to spread some lies like me and JP fucking fired him off this show, because that's not really how it went down. We're still friends, but essentially the short and long is something was said and like more of like a racial comment, and we just felt like it was probably the best thing to do for the show to move forward. And, we wish him the best. Like, we're still friends with him and stuff. And, it probably comes at a good time, too, because he's also very busy with his life and can't really record as much either. But, that's a different story.
And just to clarify something, I don't think that Jeremy is, like, racist or anything like that. I just think that he's just his humor is sort of badly timed sometimes, and he's not really that funny at times, and he just, like, his go-to is offensive humor, but it comes off bad sometimes, so that's kind of where we were at with that. But I mean, he's still our friend and stuff like that. We just decided that it's better if we separate.
And again, this was a mutual thing between us. Like, it wasn't like, oh, me and JP ganged up on him and then, said, bro, you gotta fucking, you're getting kicked to the curb kind of thing. It wasn't like that at all. He understood the severity of the situation. He knew that it offended, people, but it also offended us because at the same time, it's like we're a trio. So what's said on the show reflects all of us. And I think he's very sorry for it and stuff. And we just felt like the best thing, because I mean, this isn't the first time And, you know, we don't really address this stuff a whole lot because, you know, throughout the years, I mean, we've been kind of a, you know, say whatever the fuck we want to say, because usually the shit's joking. Even though that was meant to be a joke, it just didn't come off like that, and it was very badly timed, and it did offend people. It offended us too, because we didn't really know what to say in the moment. And I was like, bro, like, not good.
And not only that, but like, we've actually had conversations behind the scenes for the last like year or two about like not saying shit like that anymore. You know what I mean? And like not saying things that are, you know, and we're probably like the least amount of people that are like get bent out of shape about jokes and stuff like that. Like we, you know, we're not like for cancel culture or anything like that, but it's like we've made a conscious decision to remove some of that immature, silly stuff off the show. And like, it's not something that just came out of nowhere. Like for a long time now, we've consciously made an effort to stop doing that.
Yeah, like we try to refrain from using, you know, saying retarded a lot and, you know, things like that. I mean, we get it. I mean, we're getting older. I'm in my 40s, right? I mean, I don't need to be saying shit. Even though off the top of the show I called JP my Mexicant, but, you know, we're joking. But at the same time, you know, there's a time and a place for it, and then it comes off as pretty ill sometimes. And but there's no hard feelings. You know, it is what it is. We're just, you know, it's like being in a band. You know, sometimes shit happens. People move on, you know, sometimes they're friends after, sometimes they're not. And in this case, I've still talked to Jeremy. I haven't talked to him in the last week, I don't think, but I have
talked to him a couple minutes ago.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I've talked to him, you know, lots of times after we made the mutual decision to kind of move forward without him and stuff. But so.
Oh, you know, and I guess we should, like, Dave Parker is also off the show just because he's a douchebag. Yeah. And we don't like him. And he's mean and he's angry and old.
Yeah, he's always yelling at us at inappropriate times, and I'm like, bro, we were just having a conversation about Saturday morning cartoons, and he's like, fuck you, bro. You know, he gets all up in airs. And no, Dave's not off the show. He's just really busy, and we've stated this from day one with Dave. Like, he's going to be there for the bigger shows and certain other shows, but he's got shit going on. He's doing movies. He's got his new top 10 secret show that he's doing. He's got his own podcast and things like that. So Dave will be around, just not as much as maybe he once was. I don't know. We'll see. You know, but the thing is, you know, we're going to be breaking soon for the summer break anyways. And things will get reassessed in the fall. Who knows? Dave might be just more open. Who knows? But
and
I imagine the next question is
even. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that people are probably wondering, like, what's going to happen with, are we replacing Jeremy? No, we're not. So hence why Dave's on in the show. And actually, I actually heard a rumor that Brandon was retiring from Exploding Heads and he was actually coming to 22 Shots. I think that's why.
What's going on.
I think that's why he's not doing Exploding Heads right now, because he was like secretly going, you know, if I just kind of like not do that show and just kind of like step over here all sideways and shit, and, you know, we'll just go to 22 Shots. No, that's actually not true.
See?
But we wish
That's
Brandon...
why I'm here. I'm trying to beat him to it. In case it is his plan, I figured I'd beat him to it. I said, I'm going to go on first. They'll have to stay with me. I'll pull a Derek like he did before. Remember, he came on and he was back again and again. And he just kind of became the...
he just never moved out.
Right. But actually, the reason why he moved out is because Jeremy came back. He came back for episode 100. That was the reason why Derek wasn't on the show anymore.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Jeremy came back.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yep. That was a nice surprise at the time. I remember that. That was cool.
Yeah, because we didn't tell anybody.
No.
Right, nobody knew. Right.
So, again, we are just going to run the 2-man marathon here, and we'll figure it out.
We'll have Dave on when he can, Dave Parker. And then also, I'm sure Dave Z will be on here and there, too, because this time schedule works for you better than our old one.
Yeah. This recording during the early part of the day is actually pretty beneficial for a lot of people. So I'm sure we'll have. I want to get Tom back on. Speaking of award shows, actually, he's the only award show I actually ever watch is the Hornies, his horror related show on YouTube. So, but yeah, I'd like to get Tom back on it, and I think we're gonna have to just kind of reach out. So, you know, if anybody wants to.
Yeah, there's some people that I would like to try out as well. Some of our friends and stuff that haven't been on in a while and things. So Yeah, I mean, we'll have some guests here and there, and I'm sure that me and Moodz might even just do duo shows every once in a while, because we used to do that from time to time. Well, hell, we did it for a long time whenever Jeremy left the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try to get some guests on that don't fall asleep and snore. So
yeah, maybe we could see what Kyle's jazz is up to.
But yeah. So that had to be addressed and stuff. So for all you Jeremy lovers out there, don't know what to say. Sorry,
he's
bros.
on YouTube. You can love him.
Yeah, he's been back doing reviews on there and stuff. He hasn't done anything recently, but I'm sure there are probably more coming with the reviews. Speaking of video reviews, JP, where the fuck are all yours?
What are you talking about? All my what?
Your video reviews and shit.
Of what?
You know you're getting tons of fucking movies to review and shit.
I did them all.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. American Werewolf, 2 Shaw Brothers movies, Toolbox Murders.
Those are all video reviews?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, fuck me.
I actually haven't got anything since then. I requested April stuff, but
yeah, I didn't get the other 88 film. I'd already ordered them anyways, but this last packet I got like 3 movies. So, but the other one will be out tomorrow, which I've seen before. Come drink with me. I have the 88 Shaw Brothers release of that, so it's a good movie. But anyway.
Oh, you guys should promote your thing, by the way. The thing you guys are doing for the 200.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I guess we haven't done a show since we started it, right? So, yeah, JP, go ahead.
Yeah, so Moodz invited me to take part in this challenge based on a magazine that came out from Morgue in, I believe, 2012, you said?
2012, yeah.
Yeah, they put together a magazine of 200 horror films from all different eras, from the 20s all the way up, and
it's called 200
alternative horror films.
Yeah, alternative, yeah.
And basically like a hidden gems list, or like a underrated list. And we're taking the challenge, and me and Moodz are recording video reviews of together, not like separate, of every film, and we're doing it at random. So the first episode posted, I believe 2 weeks ago, was The Loved Ones. And then we just posted our second episode today, I believe. Was it today?
Yeah, this morning, which was Psycho 2.
Right. And then we'll record our next one soon.
Yeah, so the way we do it, we pick them at random, of course, and that's at the end of every episode. So if you check out Psycho 2, you'll know what the third episode is going to be.
Yeah, and with the hopes of some of you guys following along with us and taking the challenge as well, which is pretty cool. I think it's a great idea that you came up with there. And there's a lot of cool films on that list. That there's a lot of ones that have not really been talked about like at all by anybody. And then there's some more popular ones like Psycho 2, but they're still fun to watch. Like we literally say in the episode how much fun we had just revisiting Psycho 2, because it's an amazing movie. But yeah, definitely check that out. It's on Moodz's channel, Moodz616 on YouTube, and support it because it's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun challenge. And I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, man, if we were to do one a week, that would be 200 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to take a couple years.
That's 4 years, man. It's ridiculous. Well, not quite 4 years. But,
that's great.
But I'm sure we'll get more done at certain times. Yeah, I mean, because they're not really that time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer, we could probably watch a couple and then get together and record a couple or something like that. Yeah. It's probably not that going to be that hard. I mean, I know that Joe and his Fangoria challenge, they pre-recorded like a lot of them, right? Like, so they're actually done with the series, but they're still like, I think till it doesn't officially end in terms of one a week until like the end of May or something like that. But they've actually watched everything and recorded everything.
It's funny. It's funny with Joe's series, man, because I'm subscribed to him, so his videos come up. But I never put 2 and 2 together when it said the Fangoria challenge. I didn't even know that there was a magazine. I thought they were just reviewing films out of Fangoria. I had no idea that it was like a magazine challenge like the Rue Morgue one. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So,
it was 100.
Oh, they had that. Yeah, I had that book.
'Cause
101 horror movies you never heard of or something. I got that book and
it's funny because I don't. Yeah, it's funny because I don't have that one, so I didn't know that existed. So it must be like an older. Is it from the early 2000s, maybe?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Because I must have missed that because I never saw that magazine, and I looked into it after JP brought it up, and he's like, they're doing this. And I'm like, what? I didn't know Fangoria did a magazine like that. Because Rue Morgue has a lot of these type specialty magazines. Like, they're not part of your subscription. You got to purchase these separately. It's kind of like, when you buy the packages of Vinegar Syndrome, all the partner labels, you gotta, if you're a subscriber, you get like 50% off kind of thing. So these ones you got to get separately. So, but I think they're pretty limited. But yeah, I grabbed this. I had this one in fucking 2012, which is the year I started YouTube. So, but yeah, I always wanted to do it, man. I always wanted to do it because after I did my 52 horrific weeks of 81 and 88, I was like, this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I was like, this would be a great idea, but it's like such a big project, right? And I was
it's huge. 100 or 200 films is a lot.
And I'm glad I never went through it by myself. And I kind of sat on it, and I was like, this is the perfect timing. I'm super motivated to do this shit right now. I want to do it with somebody, and I was like, there's no better person to do it than JP because I know he's always going to be down for this. And he wouldn't flake out on me. So, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect. And it's a big, long project. And I really like that. So, yeah. I'm excited. And it's fun. The funnest part to me is like, it's like the same feeling as when we draw a new year for the retro shows. Cause I'm like, what's the next title going to be? And there's some ones on there that I'll love to talk about. Like, for example, Cube. Like, I've never reviewed Cube with someone, and I've always been a huge fan of that film. So there's stuff on there that I can't wait to talk about. And there's other ones on there where I've literally never seen them but have always wanted to. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So definitely check that out. Dave, you should check it out too.
I'm definitely gonna. I don't watch too many YouTube videos just because I'm always on the go when I listen to podcasts and stuff because I do it at work when I'm driving. So I never sit down at my house after I've been listening to horror podcasts all day and say, okay, I'm going to watch a video for 20 minutes right now. That's why I don't. It isn't that I don't want to watch people's things, but I will definitely listen. Problem is this, the YouTube thing, you have to pay extra to get it to run. You know what I'm talking about? When you have YouTube on your phone, you got to keep it active the whole time. If you if your screen is dark at all, it shuts off. It's not like a podcast or anything. Right. So it's like, I wish that
we could pull the audio and put it on Spotify,
like Parker does. See, that's what I like.
Dave does. Yeah,
that's when I started listening to his shit because he did that. I'm like, okay, this makes it easy for me. So that's just me, though. I
didn't really think of that, but maybe we could do that.
No, I actually thought of that. I actually thought of that. When we did the first one, I was even thinking maybe just extracting the audio and putting it up there on that as like a different for a different source, more of a streaming thing. Because I get it. Because, it's kind of ironic, though, Ben, because people leave comments on my channel all the time asking us when we're going to do video podcasts, like for the 22 shots.
Right, yeah.
And it was funny because I was thinking of that today. And the reason why, and I've explained this to many people in the past, I'm like, the reason why we never did video podcasts and then just put the audio up on the way we do is because the shows were so damn long, and like Skype just doesn't want to run video form for like 4 hours. It just fucks up a lot, right?
But also just the size of the files would be so huge, just going 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours.
Right. But then I was thinking today, I was like, this would have been a great show to surprise people that clicked onto the podcast to have the video because we do such shorter shows now. Like, I mean, the last few shows have been like 2 hours. I mean, that's not really much of a stretch from like my monthly update, essentially, right? Or my bi-monthly updates. But I think moving forward, I think we probably could maybe do some. I mean, if we agree to, do that kind of style and whatever, but I think it wouldn't be a bad thing just to try.
Yeah,
to do the video
format.
format.
Do it like we do it, like Exploding Heads. We have the Skype recorder. I record it from here. You know what I'm saying? And then Christian uploads it to the Patreon. You could just put it up for the patrons if you wanted to.
Right.
A video version for the Patreons.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. That's what we do. You just go on, you hit the record button, and it's over. And Christian uploads it when it's over with. It's cake.
Right.
I mean, it's unedited, of course, and if
Yeah.
That is true. It would be.
We do everything kind of in one take on Exploding Heads. We don't get up and break and do that usually, and it kind of just goes in one 2.5 to 3 hour discussion.
Yeah.
But
a lot of our older podcasts, like when we did all the segments and stuff, so like we would do the news, or no, we do the intro, then break, then do the news, then break, then we would do like other segment break, and then review break. Like, oh my, it's so like the 4.5 hour recording was actually like a 7-hour session. People don't even realize that, man. It was like, Jesus, man, we'd be so done. Oh, some of those like last reviews we get to, we were just like, bro, like, when did we start? Yeah, 7 hours ago.
Dude, I remember some of those marathon reviews where it'd be like, it would be like 4 hours in and it'd be like, wait, we're only on the second film out of 6. And I'm like, oh my God.
And then we were like, we can't do anything before, like franchise shows. It'd be like a quick little intro and then just movies. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, so which is the way it should have probably always been. You know, I still get comments on videos. Like I actually had one the other day and it was like, man, these guys are assholes, man. They've been talking for an hour and they haven't even got to the movies. And I'm like, show notes, bro. No, I said 2 words, show notes,
and
bro.
that's the best stuff.
So much.
And I'm like,
I see comments like that all the time. Like they're like 2 hours in and they still haven't talked about this movie. And it's like, yeah, because it's the segmented show.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, be happy that someone is any ass can come out with a podcast and say, okay, we're gonna review this movie this week, and next week we're gonna review this movie, and it's a 45-minute podcast, and that's okay. I'm not knocking anyone that's doing it, honestly. But everybody and anybody does that. How many shows take the time to do it this way, where if you like the hosts, you hear them BS for a while and then go to me. I can't stand listening to movie reviews or even doing them. I just love talking topics and BSing. It could be straight horror devoted. You could say you're not going to talk about hockey or anything, or Will Smith. Just talk about these horror topics. And I would do it. I don't care. But I think, honestly, to me, those are the best parts of the shows.
Yeah,
that's just my man's opinion.
And I tell people that,
I
man.
agree.
I tell people that. I'm like, if you don't want to listen to the intros, just go to the show notes and click on the specific thing you want to listen to. I said, I'd never expected anybody to listen to the entire show, because there's always parts of shows that people don't want to, like you said, you like to hear the intros, and maybe some people love the news. Like when we got rid of the news, people are like, oh no, now I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, well, it is what it is kind of thing, right? But like some people come specifically for the reviews and they go and click it. So we have 3 reviews. They click on one of them and they listen to it and they're out. That's fine. I have no problem with that. If you want to listen to the intro, hear us talk about random shit, like kicking Jeremy off the show. No, we didn't kick Jeremy off the show. Come on, I'm joking. But, anything from, talking about Luke and censorship to, that's like, I love that too, man. I love to talk.
It's great.
I'm one of those people, if you meet me in real life, my wife hates it because I will sit there and talk to complete strangers just like this. Like I will just talk and talk and talk, and she hates it. So I love to talk.
It's hard to find people that want to talk about what we want to talk about. So if you do get that luxury, you have to make the most of it. I'm the same way, Moodz, but it can't be with everybody. Most guys don't want to talk about, I don't know, the things we've just talked about here. Some do, but I don't want to talk about Will Smith because that's what everybody's talking about, or anything else. So, but if you ever do encounter someone that has likes like you have in real life, then yeah, you're going to shoot the shit with them. But here's an idea. Mm-hmm. This is what Wazell used to do with Banana Laser. When he would put out our shows on YouTube, he would only put out, let's say we did The Exorcist, and we talked for a fucking hour, we did a skit, we did this and that, but The Exorcist review was 50 minutes. He would put it out on YouTube. Banana Laser reviews The Exorcist, and it would only be the review. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that we guys
talked about that when I came on your show, Dave, about how like the popular thing right now is like taking bits from shows and uploading them as like their own pieces.
Right. This moment from the show, and if you want to hear more, it's here. Yeah, that shit's great. That's great too. You could even split it in half and say, okay, this is the intro and the BS session. In Moodz, you can put out two fucking videos. Or whatever you want to call them, what you put on your channel with this podcast. See, this is just the review section for people that love reviews, and this is for people that love the banter.
You click on the fucking thing, and it takes you right to where you want to go.
You're right. I know. Hey, listen, I'm with you. I've heard people
that actually wouldn't be
on my shit.
If you didn't want to, you could do it as you could break it up like the intro right now. We could have in video version, and then you could upload that as video, and then just have the reviews as audio or whatever, or the whole thing, or even vice versa. It doesn't really matter, but you could break it up for sure. Just kind of give it a different look and appeal. I think that's an idea. That kind of works. kind of works. But like I said, though, like these shows being so much shorter, you know, the video format wouldn't be such a bad idea because I can upload the video of the show and then just, you know, the regular streaming audio, which is, you know, the majority of what people listen to is streaming, because streaming is a lot more easier, let's face it. You know, the podcast apps and all that type of shit, it's right at your fingertips. And again, going back to the video format thing, you're right. Like if you're on your phone, this shuts off, man, unless you pay more.
Yep.
What a pain in the ass that is. So like a lot of people, like the views on YouTube have gone way down because more and more people are streaming it, and that's fine. As long as they're listening over there, that's, you know, that's what counts, kind of thing. But I get it. It's handy, but you know, to put the videos on, that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool, I think, for people. Because, like I said, I get those comments all the time. When are you guys going to be on video? I think right now would be a good time. Probably a good time to, you know, possibly try it out. You could do some trial runs. What do you guys think out there?
I mean, yeah, weigh in. Shit.
You know, if you guys are still listening to the intro, let us know. Let us know if you would like to see the podcast in video form. It's just a different look, you know. See what we actually look like when we're recording. Like I record buck naked.
Not good right now.
Like I record buck naked. Like if you guys have followed me on YouTube for 10 years, I've almost recorded every single video review without pants on. I do wear boxers because I don't like to sit on my chairs with my you know, my sweaty naked butthole. That's gross. But
oh no, you ball stick to the chair.
No,
shit.
it's like being a nudist kid. Like you have towels for a reason. You sit on towels for a reason, right? I'm not gonna, you know, just sit around. But no, I'm always wearing my boxers. But I just feel comfortable like that. No, I don't record buck naked. That's because we were just on camera. None of us were naked. That's gross. But
no way. I've never been naked on Skype for any reason whatsoever. I could definitely say that for a fact.
I've been on Skype when people have got naked before.
Well, that's okay. Let them. Whatever.
that has definitely happened before. That, you know, but we won't mention. We won't mention any names. But yeah, we won't mention any names. But it has definitely happened randomly, very fucking random. Okay. Well, I think we've been pushed. Well, it's probably about an hour into the intro. Do you have any house cleaning or anything? Do you want to say, JP? I think we got everything out of the way that we needed to talk about.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So that is going to conclude the intro. We will be back with some killer baseball flicks. Yeah. Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. Now tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 224, Killer Baseball Flicks, with the homeboy Dave Z in the house. And this show, we did explain how it came to fruition. We had a Patreon pick, Battlefield Baseball, so we just decided to throw in a couple more there. The first film up for tonight is from 1990, and it's called Blood Games. It's actually a film that Mikey Fishy had actually Patreon for me, I think, a couple years back. So I had first watched this movie, I think it was on YouTube, and it was like a shitty VHS transfer full screen. And since then, Vinegar Syndrome's actually given this the royal treatment with a fantastic Blu-ray release. Ridiculous how well this film looks now. So it kind of changed my perspective on it. Like, we've talked about this, how transfers definitely change the way you see films sometimes. It really does. I shouldn't say sometimes, it almost does. This is definitely one.
It's very, very common for me to watch a movie on some shitty YouTube transfer and be like, yeah, that was okay. And then I'll see like a shiny Blu-ray, and it just makes me like it more, man.
Right.
I'm not saying it completely changes my rating, but it definitely helps.
Well, my rating went up quite a bit. I don't remember what I originally rated this one, but it's definitely lower than where I'm at now. And I've watched it a couple times since then. So, but yeah, so Blood Games from 1990. Quick little synopsis. when an all-girl baseball team beats a group of rowdy rednecks from a small town, they soon find themselves the prey in a deadly bounty hunt. Now they are playing for their lives. In HD. It literally says in HD.
What the hell?
That's fucking hilarious. So somebody obviously wrote that after the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray came out. So
I actually do not own that Blu-ray.
Oh,
so I watched
beautiful.
it on 720p Tubi.
Oh, dude, the Blu-ray, to what I had originally seen this film on, it's like night and day, man. First of all, it was like full screen, very, very muddy. And the widescreen just really does change everything because the cinematography in this movie is actually really fucking good. Like, it's shot really well, and you watch it in the widescreen format, you see a lot more of shit that's going on and stuff, and it also sounds a lot better. The audio track, the remastered track, sounds a lot better too. I remember the audio being pretty shitty. But yeah, so we basically, Blood Games, the movie starts out with this baseball game. It's literally a baseball game. It's not even a softball game. That's what's so cool about it.
Right.
It's actually a female team wearing skimpy fucking Daisy Duke shorts and, tight tops, playing a fucking redneck team. It's exactly what the synopsis said. And it's a baseball. They're overhand throwing. It's a baseball game. I was like, that's so damn cool. Because generally it would be just a shitty beer league softball game, underhand and whatever the fuck, right? But the funny thing about the opening scene in this film is that it goes on for like 10 or 12 minutes of just straight baseball shit. And it's like these guys are elbowing the chicks in the face as they're being, rowdy redneck dicks and shit. And ultimately, they end up beating them and stuff. And so the coach of the female team wants to collect his debt. Because he'd bet, basically the other team's, I guess, kind of, we want to say leader, I guess, or whatever, some money, and the guy wasn't
really,
he wasn't really willing to pay it. So then, something kind of happens, and this guy, kind of beats him down in the bathroom and stuff like that, and then it just kind of the ball just kind of rolls from there. Like, it's just like one thing after another, right? So we have this incident happen with these two kind of like team leaders, the managers and stuff, and then outside we get these rowdy rednecks that attempt to rape a couple girls. It goes very, very south, and one dude is actually the son of the manager of the redneck team. He's killed. So then the manager, which is this, he's played by what's his name, man? I think it's Ken Carpenter. Yeah, he's actually been in a few different movies. And he basically puts a bounty on these girls. He sends his guys after him. He says $1,000 for every dead body kind of thing or whatever. And
so fucked up.
And so they're on the run, and they're in their tour bus. So they end up like in these woods, and then now it's like a bounty hunt. They're literally stuck in these woods fighting for their lives. And then there's some other shit that happens. There's a pretty graphic, I wouldn't say it's overly graphic rape scene that happens, but it's kind of like off-putting a little bit the way it's shot. And there's a huge battle. Mm-hmm. It's basically females against the rednecks in this film. It's a revenge thing. It's a bounty thing. It's a survival thing. The thing about this movie is that it's a lot better than it probably should be, considering the level of actors that are in this. It's a first-time filmmaker, directed by Tanya Rosenberg, the only film that she ever did. A lot of the people that are
female director.
Interesting. Not a lot of people in this movie have a lot of acting credit. A lot of the secondary girls that are involved in this film have very little acting credits. Most of them only have this movie. But Ross Hagen's in this movie. He plays Midnight in the film, and I've seen this guy in multiple films, like Wonder Woman, which was actually released by Vinegar Syndrome. He was also in Action USA, which is a fantastic fucking action film. I've seen him in that movie. So I have seen guys from this film in other shit. You might even do you guys recognize Ken Carpenter at all? Have you guys ever seen that guy? He's like the main villain,
the
bad guy. The
blonde-headed dude?
Yeah, he was also in Hellraiser 3. He plays the doc in that film.
Oh, shit. No, who I recognized right away was George Buck Flower, of course.
Oh, well, George Buck Flower. I mean, that guy's literally in every fucking thing, right? But I just recently watched Ken Carpenter. He's got a small little part in Tammy and the T-Rex, which is a 1994 prep film. That's where I was kind of segueing into more 94 talk. But he's actually in Tammy and the T-Rex also. So, it's kind of funny. He just has one of those faces. You know what he kind of reminds me of, Ken Carpenter? He kind of reminds me of, like, he kind of reminds me of Chuck Norris, when Chuck Norris had the mustache and like the shaggy hair before he had the beard and like the clean cut. You know what I'm saying? He's like the budget version of Chuck Norris, man. And he's all like Vietnam'd out and shit. Oh fuck, he's got some great lines in this movie, man. Really, really great stuff.
You know how on Letterboxd, it like, you know, if you can look at your statistics of like, oh, I've watched this actor in this many films this year and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, it was like my number one actor was like George Buckflower, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, that
you
goes
did so many things.
That goes to prove my point, dude. Buckflower was literally in every. You know what? Buckflower is so crazy. If you look at his filmography, like this guy was in like Back to the Future 1 and 2. He played a bum, but he played a bum in a lot of movies because he has that mutt face. He's like perfect, you know.
Right.
But he's like one of those character actors that shows up in literally everything because he never had the face to be like a leading Tom Cruise type actor, but he was still good enough to be in all these secondary roles, and he just took everything, you know. And to be honest, dude, Buckflower is actually on my list also with 16 films watched, just by chance. By chance. It's funny when you put it in perspective. Like, I have Christopher Lee with 33 films watched, Peter Cushing with 30, Donald Pleasance with 23, Schwarzenegger with 21, and then you kind of go down here and it's like Buckflower with 16. He's tied with Robert Englund, and I actually have more films watched from Buckflower than I do Clint Eastwood, who has 15. It's like so fucking random. It's so funny when you put that in perspective. Oh man,
last year on Letterboxd at the end of the year, because I don't have the pro like you guys do. That's probably where you have all the stats. I just have the regular. At the end of the
pro,
year,
dude.
I know.
In November, it's $10.
Yeah, it's cheap, man.
Maybe I'll get it.
Cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably do it. But what they do give you is your end of the year stuff for regular members. So it tells you how many you watch and this and that. But the funny thing, it struck me as odd. It says, this is the director you watch the most of. And I didn't even recognize the director's name. I go, what? Wait a minute. What is this? And then I looked, and it was the dude that did the fucking Blind Dead series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we watched them all for a special.
Amando Asario, whatever his name is. Something like that.
I just couldn't believe that. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I was like, what? And I looked up, it says Tombs of the Blind Dead. I go, oh, fuck. It was just shocking to me that of all the directors, like, I can't believe I didn't watch more than 3 Argento movies last year. How is that even fucking possible? I don't know. It's just weird. Romero or anybody.
I've been on Letterboxd for 4 years. I think 4 years. Yeah, and of course it makes sense. I got Fulci with 24 movies, Argento with 22, Umberto Lenzi with 18. Go figure, it's like all Italian directors, right?
Wow.
But then oddly enough, my number 4 is Wes Craven with 17, and then Mario Bava with 16. Of course, Bruno Mattei with 16, Carpenter with 15, Romero with 14. So, like, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I've got Rodrigo Deodato on here. You know, Jess Franco, but a lot of that is due to prepping for like 70s shows, so you get all these Franco films, right? And like Terrence Fisher with 14, and you know, it's just kind of interesting. But a lot of his Italian, because I do watch a lot of Italian movies, man. Like Larry Cohen, I got 14 movies on here. He's tied with Terrence Fisher.
Wow.
Like, it's fucking crazy, dude. Like Lamberto Bava, 12. And this is what I've watched in the last 4 years. I don't log films from the past. This is what I've watched since I've been on Letterboxd. And I notice people do that. They will log shit that they watched 20 years ago. And I'm like, bro.
Well, I have I started keeping track of my watches in 2011. So I inputted everything from
that's
before.
different. You have a record of it. People are just like, I might have watched Blood Games back in 1993. I'm going to put it down. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, so mine is actually, my Letterboxd dates back over 10 years. Although I will say, I used to only watch like 40 movies in a year back then.
I can vouch for this because I remember you used to have written down, like handwritten, like in notebooks and shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's old school when you're handwriting shit down.
Do they have producers? Do they list like producers?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can,
I want to know how many fucking
Charles Band is the highest for me with 60.
I figured Corman would take the cake.
Charles Band has 45 for me. Jason Blum with 30. Roger Corman 26. Bob Weinstein and Harvey are 23 and 22. So it must have been when somebody got dropped off the credits. Really bobbing. So you can break that.
I have 60 Charles Band productions.
That is ridiculous, dude.
I don't think I've seen 6.
I do have Charles Band on my list. He's actually tied with. Okay, this is hilarious. So I got Lamberto Bava with 12, Joe Cohen with the Coen brothers with 12, and Charles Band with 11 directed movies, and then he's tied with Freddie Francis. Like, can you see a world like Freddie Francis and Charles Band, 11 films apiece? What the fuck?
Here's mine. These are my actors. 21 Robert Englund, 21 Kane Hodder, 21 Tony Todd, 21 George Buckflower. Just so
those are the highest?
3 franchise fucking villains, right? Some are in more than one franchise, and then Buck Flowers.
And then I have Lynn Shay at 20, Tom Savini 19, Samuel L. Jackson at 19, Lance Henriksen at 19, Christopher Lee at 19, and Brad Dourif at 18.
Wow. But top of my list is so bizarre because, like I said, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Donald Pleasance, Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I always pop in Schwarzenegger movies. And then Liana Quigley is tied with 21 with Schwarzenegger, and Barbara Crampton with 21.
Nice.
Isn't that weird? And then Charles Bronson with 19, Bill Moseley with 19, John Saxon with 17, who has one more than Vincent Price. And it's just because, you know, I've seen like 100 Vincent Price movies, but that's what I've watched in the last few years. He's tied with England with 16, Buck Flowers 16, and then I got a couple guys like Tom Fellergy, who's like in every Italian movie ever fucking made, with 16. Everyone's like, who the fuck is he? Exactly.
I remember that one year.
He's just in everything. Like it's so funny.
1 year, dude. Like my top. You know how you look at your totals for everything and then just specific years.
Yeah.
Like the 1 year, it's filled with Twilight people, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude. Oh, so bad.
It sucks.
My directors are Wes Craven with 20, Argento with 20, John Carpenter 15, Toby Hooper 12, Charles Band 12, Fulci 11, Cronenberg 10, Bava 9, Eli Roth 9, and Mick Garris 9.
Yeah, my bottom is Takashi Miike with 8. And I'm just surprised I even logged 8 movies. It's funny because like I own I think 70 Miike movies or something like that.
Wow.
It's just funny because I don't really watch a lot of Miike recently. I was like, whoa, I got 8 on here. It's kind of weird, but
how about that guy, that other actor? He's a character actor in a lot of stuff, a lot of genre stuff, a lot of horror. He's the guy that was going Sweet Pea and fucking Sleepaway Camp 3. What's his name? Michael.
Michael Moriarty.
Michael, no.
No, I'm joking, Michael Moriarty. Dude, what the fuck? The fucking blonde-haired dude.
Yeah, Michael Powell. He was in House of 1,000 Corpses in the beginning, and he always has these little. He's always popping up in genre flicks. I think he probably has a couple hundred credits.
Dude, he literally does. He literally does. Yeah.
He's all over the place. He's like another Buck Flowers, you know. But
absolutely. Because if you look at the looks of Buck Flower and him, they're kind of similar. They have faces that they're perfect to put into these kind of genre films, like as a secondary character, and because they're memorable too. Like you just could not cast those guys, not cast them. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
but yeah, they're just not going to be those Tom Cruise leading type guys. It's crazy. But I always remember Buck Flower as being a bum because of Back to the Future and shit. Right, and he does. I think he plays a bum. Like he's even in Body Bags. Like in the opening scene, I think he plays like he must be homeless or a bum or something in like the opening gas station. Like there's a bunch of movies where he legitimately plays homeless person. It's crazy.
How about what's his name? He's drunk a lot. I think Dick Miller. Well, no, he's not drunk a lot. I'm thinking of like Gremlins. Wasn't he fucking?
Yeah.
Dick Miller's in everything, also, man.
Like, yeah, he's like like a janitor, like got a flask or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I love Dick Miller though, dude.
Yeah,
like
he's
one of the coolest like guys like that you would just see in bit parts everywhere.
Yep.
All right, so getting back to Blood Games.
We watched these movies like a month ago, guys. So
22 shots.
The most in-depth reviews. Probably.
22 shots of tangent and horror. I remember Blood Games quite vividly because I've seen it a couple times since I originally reviewed it and stuff. So it's not overly that hard to really remember, but it does have a memorable opening scene. Like I said, the first 10-12 minutes is actually a baseball game, which is kind of...
Actually, all three of these films have quite a bit of baseball in them.
Yeah. The thing about Battlefield Baseball is it's unfortunate, where you think it would actually have a full-fledged game where people are just getting knocked off.
I know. I was really annoyed by that, but we'll get to that.
I know. That was the biggest down. I was like, because the setup to it would be so... Okay, anyways. So what are your guys' thoughts on Blood Games?
It feels just like a classic exploitation film, dude.
It really does.
I actually think that this is like a film that Joe Bob would praise. You know what I mean? It just feels like something like Gator Bait or something, Yeah. But it actually, I'll say that it looks better and is a little bit more like high production than you would expect for a film like this. I think that there's a lot of characters, so a little bit hard to follow who's who and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie. That rape scene kind of there's like an attempted rape scene and then an actual rape scene.
Yeah, there's the one in the beginning
it does
of
make the film.
Yeah, outside the bar, and then there's the rape scene,
Yeah.
I guess, in the woods too, right?
Yeah, it makes the film like feel like it feels like it's a little more highbrow, and then it gets like pretty lowbrow there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty decent exploitation film, to be honest. And like I said, going back to the actors and stuff like that, like the main chick in the film, what's her name? I think is it Babe? Yeah, Laura Albert, man. She's like a bona fide like Hollywood stunt woman, and she still works today as a stunt woman and stuff. And that
really,
yeah, it's like she really didn't do a lot of acting, but like a lot of stunt people would always act in films if they needed like a secondary character because they're already on set, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
so she would do a lot of roles like that, and then somehow just kind of end up being the lead in this movie. Probably because maybe the directors are friend. I have no idea, but obviously because she's doing stunts on the film too and stuff. But yeah, like she's actually a stunt woman and shit. And I respect that, man. I think she does actually pretty good in the job in the film, to be honest. But
do you think this film's like a feminist thing?
I mean,
well, yeah, I could see that
because it's a bunch of like, ladies who are, being pushed down by the man,
right?
By a literal man. And then also like it was directed by a woman. Like I could see this totally being like ripped by like Ebert and Siskel for being like trashy, like, women in danger films or whatever, but it's like more empowering to women.
It is empowerment, though,
they're
because
the heroes and like
they're being pursued by these rednecks and stuff, and they don't just lay down and not fight. They fight back. In fact, they go balls to the wall fighting back. Actually, in fact, there's a lot of female survivors in this movie, almost probably too many, really. And the body count is pretty high. The body count in this movie overall is pretty high when you actually break it down. Like, they kill a lot of those rednecks, man. They really do. Like, I wish I had kept track of the body count because it's a little more than you probably think it is. But I think it's more of a female empowerment thing, really, because of the survivor numbers by the end of the film. There's, 5 of them that survive? Like, it's like half the ball team.
Yeah.
So
and the guys aren't really portrayed in the kindest light either. So, I mean, why would it be anything but that? That's what I'm saying. Even this is what was weird about it. There's a couple weird things that happened in this movie, and one of them for me was that guy Roy. I thought he was going to be a cool cat, and he became an asshole. Like, he seemed like he was one of the good guys the way they were portraying him earlier, and then he assholes out. I'm like, I'm surprised they made him the heavy here. It was a kind of a strange choice. A couple weird things happened that I didn't get, like somebody died just from falling in the water one time or something, and I don't know. The setup was cool.
No, the dude, that scene where the guy is where Midnight's on top of the vehicle, or he's on top of the bus and he's shooting at him and stuff. I think that was Midnight. That was Ross Hagen's character, right? And he goes flying off the bridge into the water. He dies later on in the film. He actually survived. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I don't even know how the fuck he gets out of the water and shit, but he does. Because I'm pretty sure that's Ross Hagen's character. Yeah, he ends up being, I think, one of the last villains, to be honest. But yeah, Roy was the Ken Carpenter's son. He's the guy that begins. He dies in the beginning, which kind of sets off the whole bounty thing, right? Because when he shoots the chick driving the bus and it crashes into the garbage can and crushes him. Yeah, that was Roy that gets done in there.
Okay, but he dies because, not rightfully so, but he does something he shouldn't have been doing,
right?
And he gets they rebel against it naturally. But the thing is,
it's
when you
more
see
of an
this movie
accident
being set up,
yeah,
it's more of an accident. But when you see the movie being set up, every time you see a movie like that, when a guy's father is kind of hard on him about other things, they always make him like the sympathetic son.
Yeah.
And that seemed to me, I thought he was going to end up being a hero. So it just seemed, it was like a strange decision to switch his character to a heel. For me, I was like, wow.
And they did it so quick too, right? Yeah, it's like so quick because that scene, it just goes from like rape to like I'm being crushed by a fucking a bus and a garbage can. It's rather quick. Yeah.
The bus was badass though. They had that fucking shag carpet in there and everything on the. I thought it was cool, man.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine how gross that shit would get over time? Like you're walking through a bus with your dirty shoes and like a shag carpet. Oh my god, that thing would be disgusting after a while, man. Oh, it's freaking.
I guess
nasty,
if you
man.
really think about it, yeah, the hippie in me likes fucking shag carpets and buses and vans. I was just thinking back to that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you're probably right. I didn't understand something was happening with oh, what the hell was it? Again, it's been a while. Okay, so the guy, you explained that the guy actually came back. My big problem with it, I was fine with the movie. It kept me entertained enough. And JP said it right. It is like an exploitation movie. It's like a movie that Joe Bob would talk about. Totally. I could totally see that. Yeah. My biggest thing, and it's the biggest crime for me in all of movies, when the third act is slow moving and I'm not into it. And that's what happened to me in this movie. It took it down.
I do agree that I think the first two acts are stronger than the third act.
Yeah, I can't stand a slow moving third act. I
keep thinking you're trying to be ironic when you're saying slow moving, because a lot of the shit that's happening, revenge wise or fighting wise, actually happens in slow mo. Like legitimately happens in slow mo. So
I wasn't thinking that, but that's crazy.
Dude, like the scene where the dude grabs the chick at the end there and then she throws the ball and he goes back and she shoots him and shit. It's just like, oh my god, it's ridiculous. So the baseball actually plays into kind of saving the day a little bit. And, it does. Like,
didn't it remind you guys of Chainsaw 2 at the end?
Yeah,
100%. Remember at the end when fucking Chop is chasing Stretch up the thing? It was a total reenactment of fucking Chainsaw 2.
That's really funny. I never even thought of that, but yeah, you're right. That's crazy. I think the cheesiest thing about the movie, though, man, is the montage at the end. And they're like showing clips from
with
previous
the characters.
Oh
yeah.
my god, it's so cheesy, dude. It's so cheesy. Man.
It is a bit cheesy.
Overall, man, the movie's not really that. I mean, you're right. The third act does slow down a tiny bit, but I mean, it does have a pretty good pace up to that point, and I think the body count's pretty high in this. It's entertaining enough. It has all the exploitation factors that you would expect. Like it has like action
sequences and stuff.
It does. It's ridiculous. Like the dude flying off the bus into the water and shit. That was a pretty crazy stunt because like that was legitimately somebody flying off that bridge. Like that's crazy.
Right.
But it's got all those factors. Like it's got the awesome scene with Buck Flower sneaking into the girls' change room and shit and doing the dirty old man shit and stuff.
Tons of TNA.
Tons, like after the game, what did you expect from the first 10 minutes of the film with these chicks in Daisy Dukes and tight shirts and stuff? The next scene after they win is them in the change room and there's just nothing but huge titties and shit. And you're just like, okay, it's so exploitive. It's so exploitive. And then of course it leads into rape and shit, which I don't think the initial scene's really that bad, but I do find the one in the woods to be a little bit, maybe it's the way it's shot because like you don't never really see the chick's face too much, and it's like this shot of her ass in the air and she's just totally exposed and just it's a bad situation for it. It's the way they shot it. It's effective. You didn't have to have this like this really kind of brutal I spit on your grave rape scene to make it like uber effective, right? So I really actually enjoyed that. But then right after that scene kind of breaks itself up, it goes super slow-mo. Like legitimately super slow-mo. And I've always had issues with slow-mo. Some movies it actually does work for what it's trying to accomplish, but sometimes it kind of works against the grain a little bit at times too, I think so. But I mean, I think one thing that's really good about the film, besides the cinematography, is really good, and the acting, surprisingly, for like I said, not a lot of experience here, but it's pretty solid. I think some of the the effects and stunts are pretty good in the film, but the score. I love the music in the film because a lot of these kind of straight exploitation, rape, revenge type films usually have shitty soundtracks. I don't know what it is about these movies. They always kind of like hillbilly it out and shit. They kind of play to the area. Like all of a sudden your soundtrack's like some fucking toothless dude playing a banjo or some shit. You're like, what the fuck? Like that shit ain't scary. He's playing a damn banjo. That's not cool. But the score...
The banjo kid from Deliverance is scary. I don't know what you're talking about.
But my point is, right? Like, I mean, you take a movie like this and you put kind of like a dark it's a lower scale score, but it's a little bit darker, and I think it really does work, man. It's something I notice every time I watch the movie. I think it's actually a pretty underrated score. I mean, I don't know how it would be.
I can't remember it at all.
I know you always say that about music. You guys, JP's always like, I never remember the music, but it's something I always focus on.
He's not a big music. You're right.
Sometimes I do, but sometimes I just don't.
It's like one of those things, like, you know, Last House on the Left. Like, you can't not remember the music because it's just like so aggravating and annoying at times, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you take a rape revenge movie of that caliber and you throw in this really fucking like ill music, and I mean that in a bad way, and it's off-putting. It's very, very off-putting at times, and that happens in these like, kind of southern redneck, you know, fucking Confederate type films and shit like that, and it is what it is. It makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time. You put a better score with this. This movie would have been uber annoying if it had one of those twangy scores, and it just wouldn't work. And I think it does. The score is good. I don't know who did the score. I don't really know.
It's too typical.
Yeah.
To do it that way, you know? Yeah.
It is. So
not that I remember the soundtrack because it's been a minute. That's why. So, but I didn't write anything down about it either.
Gregory Turner. Gregory Turner did the music for this. I think he worked on a ton of movies. Tons. Yeah. So, not a whole lot that I've recognized. Video games. Oh no, he's worked on some shit. Worked on Nickelodeon stuff. That's weird. That's a weird transition.
That is
like even shortly after this too. Crazy. But yeah, Blood Games, man. It's 90s exploitation.
Yes.
I wish I would have seen it on Blu-ray. Maybe I would appreciate it more the way you're talking about it and everything. Because I watched it on Tubi as well. So, you know, it's not the greatest quality, but right. I would like to see it on Blu-ray. If I ever were to watch it again, that would have to be the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think still my favorite quote in the film is, "You're fucking with the devil now, boy." Dude fucking screams that in the bathroom. Oh man, that shit's awesome. That guy's having he's having non-flashbacks at that point. Ridiculous.
Nice.
That shit's amazing. But yeah, like
I was mad they killed the black girl first. I was like, come on, man.
I know, man. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it's, you know, yeah. It's kind of like it's so cliche, right? Like in straight up horror films, the thing used to be like, you know, they'd have the token black person, they would always die first. But like this isn't even, it's more of like a straight up exploitation film, and go figure that the black girl dies first in the movie. Like, are you fucking? And I think she's the only. She's the only black person in the whole movie, I think.
I believe so.
I don't even think there's another character ever on screen in this movie that's black. That's crazy. But you're right, though. You're right. Yeah, Blood Games, man. Do you guys have anything else on it?
I'm good.
No. The girls never in real life. If you go see a girls' baseball game, they never look this way.
No, unfortunately they don't.
Right.
I just kept thinking to myself,
the
like,
pitcher and the catcher.
Right. It's like if you're gonna wear like Daisy Duke shorts like that and shit with like no kind of shin pad, like if you ever had to slide.
That's what I was thinking.
Yikes! Yeah. Oof, you're gonna have raspberries for days, months at that point.
Each. Yeah, you're right. Ow.
Everybody's butt cheeks are hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love the contrast though. You got like all these hot chicks in skinny clothes and these redneck motherfuckers. Like it's just night and day.
Just drinking beer.
The most unlikely like matchup ever. It's just like fucking amazing. Oh, it's such a great setup. It's fucking cool. All right, so let's get into ratings on Blood Games. JP, why don't you lead us off?
I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Wow. That's way higher than I thought you were going to give that one.
Me too.
Crazy. Dave, what do you give that one?
I give it a 6 out of 10. It was okay. I don't regret my time with it. It was just a movie I watched, and you know, I'd watch it again maybe because of the way you're talking about it with the Blu-ray. But it was fine.
Oh man, it just looks phenomenal, man. There's actually, man, and I should have watched it too. I even brought the Blu-ray down, but I should have. There's an interview on the disc. There's not that many special features because, you know, it's Blood Games from 1990, but But there's an interview on there with Ken Carpenter, and I was curious to hear his thoughts on the film because, he plays the main villain in the film kind of thing, right? And actually, I will say his death scene is pretty fucking awesome. Like that's a cool death scene where he, you guys know do you remember the end of the movie? Where I don't know what they're in, one of those grain type things or whatever. He gets pushed off the top, falls to the bottom. Yeah, but it looks good.
Yeah,
the blood looks really good, man. Like it looks really damn good. So
yeah, the blood did look good. It looked legit in the beginning. The first kill, that looked pretty good. I gotta say that as far as blood's concerned.
I will say I was a little upset with the chick wearing the kind of like the little short dress or whatever, who takes the arrow in the back, who gets stuck to the tree. I'm not even sure she really had any lines in that. She just ends up dead. There's some really exploitive shots of like her hiking through the woods and stuff, and every shot is like catching her like ass from the back. You know what I'm saying? And then she takes an arrow in the back. You're just like, okay, that's brutal. But yeah, Blood Games, I actually have come way up on this one too. I don't remember. I think I might have been around 6.5 before. I'd have to go back and look at the ratings, but I'm at a 7.5 also on this one. I think it's a really fun,
I just
baseball
love
exploitation film.
I fuck with exploitation flicks heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like just TNA, just and exploitation, redneck exploitation too. I dig stuff like that. It's always worked for me.
It's a fun combo. You got the the exploitive TNA with the Hicks exploitation. It's kind of cool without the annoying soundtrack. So
right,
good shit.
You know what? It's something that I noticed too with the sound with these low budget. And this, I don't know if you remember, Moodz, way back when you thought I was really coming down on that movie, that Halloween flick. And then I came on the show and I said I'm not really that down as you thought. And then I started talking about. In some lower budget movies from the early 2000s and stuff, and why it reminded me of that, when the people are talking, the voices are like really loud, like too loud. Do you know what I'm talking about? And like some low budget, it almost feels like they've been dubbed in after the fact.
Yeah.
It usually is. It's usually ADR in like a room that's not usually soundproofed good, so you get like a hallway sound effect almost.
It's weird. It's like too loud, and it always rubs me wrong every time I watch a movie like this, because I've seen low budget movies that don't do that at all. So you can blame the budget, yes, and I'm not picking on a low budget movie, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that every time I see it, it kind of like it throws me off a little bit, and it does something. And it's like, what was I gonna say? I even recorded something that was happening at one point, and I sent it to Christian, and I said, this is what I do not want our movie to sound like. I know it's going to be low budget, and as soon as he said, he goes, no, we will not let it do that.
Yeah,
but I notice it a lot. Do you know what I'm saying?
No. It is. It's a problem with ADR, and it's not knowing how to mix it properly. So like if you're shooting a scene outside, which is like 100% of this movie is pretty much shot outside, you have to have that ambient sound. You got to mix it properly, where if you're doing ADR and stuff and you're re-recording lines and shit like that, and you have that that kind of enclosed sound, or it's the opposite where you're recording in a room that's not really soundproof, and then you have too much of almost like the reverb, and it just sounds bigger than it should be, almost like a hall sound kind of thing. That doesn't fit into when you're doing outside, because outside sound is natural. Right? You have to be able to mix that shit properly. So if you are going to be doing ADR, you got to be aware of what your surroundings are, and also how you're recording it too, right? It's just a lot of inexperience when it comes to sound, right? I mean, I notice wrong sound effects in movies all the time, and it drives me fucking nuts, man. It's so stupid. Like, people just don't think the majority of people won't catch on to the sound of a wrong gunshot. Right, that just I'm not 100% on everything, but like there's certain guns that are shot sometimes. You're like, that's not the sound that comes out of that gun.
A lot of the times,
yeah,
they're just stock noises. That's why.
You have full on stock libraries, and even like Terminator 2 like has stock sounds in the movie. It is what it is. Like there's like Hollywood stock sound. They are what they are, but you got to get it right though, because it's noticeable when it's not correct. It's like footsteps. You know, if you're walking in like down a hall, you're going to have that kind of echo, you know, that big ambient sound and shit like that. But if it sounds like it's all compressed, like you're walking on a carpet in a fucking, you know, in a soundproof booth, that shit ain't cool, man. That doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's noticeable, right? The biggest problem with older films is tires on pavement versus like dirt roads and stuff. You'll hear screeching noises on dirt roads, and you're just like, bro.
Right.
Like, are you kidding? Like, how do you fuck that up? That's not the sound effect. That doesn't happen in real life, man. It doesn't happen in real life. There's just a lot of bullshit like that. So when it comes to ADR, you really got to be aware of what you're replacing. Like, if you're outside, if you're inside, if you're like in a booth, like you're in a restaurant having a dialogue scene or whatever, you got to be aware on how you're gonna, like, you know, mix that. You can record however, but you can still mix it down properly and make it sound like it's kind of authentic, right?
Yeah, it always takes me out of it. They even do a little bit of it in Billy Club when they first meet up in the bar in the beginning, the three of them and the girl behind the bar, and their voices are real loud. And same thing, I always pick up on it when I watch low-budget movies, and it always takes me out of the picture. And I hate to be that type of person. I'm not sitting here on some high horse, you know, like a snob. Yeah. It isn't that. Because I've seen what people have also done with low budgets and made like borderline masterpiece movies on really low budget. So I know it can be done. So when I see it in certain movies, it just takes me out of it a little bit. And I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
I mean, if you want to avoid the whole ADR thing, man, I mean, if you're recording live sound on your sets and shit, you know, make sure you record it properly too. Like, have the right sound guys on there, have the right microphones and stuff, so you're not picking up every little fucking thing around and stuff. Because that's what happens a lot when you record live sound. Is it just doesn't come out properly, so you end up having to go in the studio and redo it. And then you'll have those moments in low budget films where they're using the original audio that they recorded on the scenes, and then they're having to replace other scenes. So like when you're watching a scene and all of a sudden it dips in quality or it changes in quality from scene to scene, is because that's what's happening. They're not being consistent with the recordings, and it is a budget constraint. You shoot a scene, your audio's all fucked. What are you going to do? Redo the fucking scene because your audio sucks? No, we'll just ADR this shit, right? Yeah. So that's why you'll get those dips. You'll have audio that sounds really good up here because it was probably the original audio that they recorded, and or vice versa. And then you got to go in and do this ADR and shit like that. So you'll get these moments where you're like, fuck, man, it sounds like shit again, because they probably fucked up that scene when they shot it, and then they had to go in and redo the sound, like, you know. And fuck, it's and then when you get inexperienced mixers, and then it makes it even worse, right? Because then it just doesn't sound properly at all. Right? And you're like, fuck. And that happens a lot in low budget films. You won't get that in a lot of big budget because they'll just fucking reshoot the scenes. That's just what they do. Like, they'll take 48 on a fucking scene because they have the budget to do it. So you don't really get a lot of that. But you will get on major Hollywood films the wrong sounds in films. That is very common. Very common.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of unforgivable considering what their budget is and the people that are working on it. So
exactly.
Like, wow. And you can forgive a low-budget thing. Of course you can. You don't want to pick on low-budget filmmakers at all. I can't help that certain sound, you know, with the voices takes me out of movies sometimes. I wish it didn't, but it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But
so what I hate, kind of like this stuff, is like where you have to play that sound volume game where, like, the dialogue in the film's like real low, and that but like everything else is so loud.
Yeah, it's not
so
mastered
like
properly.
in an action sequence, something will come up and it'll be like fucking so loud because you had the volume up because of the audio, the dialogue, and then you turn it back down, and then you can't hear what the characters are saying. So the whole film you're just going up down up down. I fucking hate that.
That's a mastering problem.
Subtitles.
So when you're it's like when you're mastering an album, like you'll have songs, like every song is individually recorded, right? But then, and a lot of those times, those songs will be recorded at different levels too, right? So hence the mastering aspect of putting out an album is trying to make every track have the same volume from track to track. So when you listen from track 1 to 14, it sounds very much on the same dB level, right? Well, in movies, it's kind of the same thing. You need to master that properly too, because you don't want that audio at a 7 dB and the fucking, you know, the gunshots and the explosions at a plus 61. Like, that is just not cool, bros, because, you know, it's happening. You're playing the volume game, and that does happen in a lot of mixes too, which is kind of bullshit because, like, sometimes it's so noticeable. It's like, you didn't notice this when you were mastering these films. Like, the dialogue is super low, and then all of a sudden, the explosion literally blew my head off.
Right, exactly. It's annoying. It's so annoying to deal with too.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, because when you're watching a movie late night and you got a family sleeping and shit, you're like, motherfucker. How many times you watch a movie with the remote in hand and you're sitting, you don't even have your back on the couch. You're like on the edge of your couch waiting to turn it down. You're like, fuck, okay, TV down.
Yeah, it sucks.
Stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Yep.
All right, so
that's why if you have a sound bar, sometimes they have that night option you could put in there, and it does something with the levels. Yeah,
it basically does it for you. Yeah, new technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is going to conclude Blood Games from 1990.
白いボールを打ったりはさせないよ
All right, so moving into the second film for this episode, and it is from 2003, and it is called Battlefield Baseball. What a title that is right there. Japanese film directed by Yude Yamaguchi. Probably butchered the shit out of that. Most likely I did. I tried to pronounce his name in the past before, and I don't think I'm even coming close. He actually directed one of JP's all-time favorite movies, in Meatball Machine.
Oh my god, I was gonna be like, this movie reminded me of
Figures. There you go. Me too.
You don't like that one either? Meatball Machine? It's pretty bad shit, man.
No, I don't like Meatball Machine.
Oh man, I like that.
It's just too much for me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I haven't really seen a whole lot of his other films. I've seen, like, the segment that he did in ABC's of Death. Of course, I think we probably all have.
Which segment did he do?
He did J is for Jideki Geki. I don't know. Can't remember. It's like most of the segments in ABC's of Death. Like, there was 26 segments, obviously, one for each letter of the alphabet, and I think I liked maybe 9 in the first one. It was very underwhelming. In fact, I think I was kind of the minority, and I liked the second one more. I think I liked about almost half of the segments in the second one, which is
I did too.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It was just more enjoyable. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's the guy that did Meatball Machine. All right, so getting into a quick little synopsis here, even though there's a lot of words here. All right, Battlefield Baseball is a tough game. Does it really have to start out like that? Like, really? It doesn't end until all the members on the opposing team are dead. In this game, Gecko High team is composed of blue-faced zombies, and their opponents on the Sadeo High team know that they have a chance at beating them. They don't have a chance at beating them unless they bring back a star pitcher who has a lethal pitch called the Super Tornado. But who has hung up his cleats and has no desire to return to the game. Holy man. I mean, I guess that's not bad of a synopsis. It's worded oddly, but... So, Battlefield Baseball. Yeah, this was a first-time watch for me. I have known about this one because of the title. I mean, really, you just don't forget a title like Battlefield Baseball. And I gotta say, man, the short and long, I was pretty disappointed with the movie because I was expecting the third act to be like this full-blown kind of baseball game between these two schools. And we don't
with
really
like murder and death. Like, that's what
I thought it was going to be like
they set it up like that. They're like Battlefield Baseball is a hard game. Like, so you figure it's going to be like this death match with like where you could fucking kill people, like when you slide into the base or something and you pull out like some cleats to the face or something like that.
It's like 100% set up like that because Sato High is the principal or the guy, he's like just hell bent on getting this fucking team to beat this Gecko High team, because they're the killers, they're the champions and all that type of shit. And you're right, it's totally set up like it's going to be this big, huge face-to-face matchup at the end, and it never goes down like that. And I was like so disappointed because all I wanted to see was guys like stealing bases and getting decapitated and guys jumping up and catching balls and like blown up and shit.
Like maybe getting a baseball thrown through someone's chest or something like that, bro.
Dude, all I was thinking about
metal spike cleats and stuff.
Right, I was thinking about like pitching. Like the guy, like he has a super tornado pitch, and I was expecting this guy to throw this pitch and like lop someone's head off with it. Right. Shit like that. Like, oh, he hit him in the side, but it goes right through his torso. And I was expecting all this shit, and I was like, but it never comes down to a face-to-face battle. It's just like it's a battle at the end, but it's like not a baseball game. I'm like, fuck. Man, I will say, like, this whole movie is insanely goofy. It's like, I would say it's probably more comedy than horror. Really, I mean, it's like straight up like comedy horror, right? It's so ridiculously goofy, man. And like on the reason why the dude can't play, or why his mom won't let him play baseball. Do you guys remember?
Ridiculous.
Oh my, it's so ridiculous. It turns out that this dude right here is like his brother and shit, and like something happened back in the day.
Four Eyes guy, his dad, the Four Eyes, the tornado throwing baseball. He's doesn't want to play or throw baseballs anymore because he killed his dad or something, and he ran away. And it turns out that, like, it's actually kind of a funny scene because she starts telling a story of how why she doesn't want her son to play baseball because his dad was killed by his brother, and he's like, wait a minute, that's me.
Yeah. I couldn't put it on. I couldn't figure it out how, like, he didn't realize, or the brother didn't realize that he was the one that killed the father, and that they were all related and stuff. I'm like, did I miss something there? Like, how do you know?
There's no way they wouldn't, because it's not like he was like
young
2 when this happened.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was old enough to throw a ball hard enough through his dad's like fucking scientifically.
And then the mother later on is fighting.
Yeah, is the mother a guy in this movie? Is that like a joke, or is it just like a really ugly woman, for lack of a better thing to say? But I kept thinking it was a dude. It was like hilarious. But I think the funniest thing in this movie was the fucking catcher's glove, man. That huge ass, like, scientifically genetically modified glove. Oh my god, that shit made me laugh. But I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that, like, this dude didn't realize that he was part of this family and this was his brother and shit. I'm like, but he was old enough to know. Like, his brother was around.
Right. It does make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I was like, okay, so that little reveal was kind of like comical, but really stupid. But the movie starts out very promising. Like, it literally starts out with like this, this zombie team beating up on this other team. And like, this dude jumps up to catch a fly ball and he fucking explodes and shit. I'm like, oh, bro, I'm like, we're totally going to get this shit, man. It's going to be amazing. We're going to see, like, there's 18 guys on the field. We're going to see 17 fucking mutilated bodies. This is going to be crazy. And like, really, like, the first half of the movie is really just trying to get or I can't even remember what his name is, trying to get this guy to play on this team and stuff, and it kind of goes through the story of like how he killed his dad and why he doesn't play, and like he's this big badass now and he's like an outcast, and it's like, it's done so goofy and ridiculous. But I mean, my biggest problem with this movie though, man, is it's not how goofy the narrative is. And actually, there is some nods in this film too, man. There's nods to other Japanese films, for sure, which is kind of funny in a narrative like this. But I think it's just the third act. I was expecting this big baseball game, and I never got it. And I was so disappointed, man, because it starts out with one, and it doesn't end with one. I'm like, bro, you totally set it up and just fucking kicked me right in the nuts. You said, fuck that, man. We're not giving it to you, man. So I was really kind of taken back by that. It's a quick watch, so I think this movie only runs about 80 minutes, which I was
It's even quicker if you watch it 1.5, which I did.
You watched it? How do you read the subtitles? You weren't even reading the subtitles.
I barely ever do that, but I was like, man, this is not as fun as
I can honestly say I've never watched a movie that we reviewed on. Actually, in fact, I've honestly, I did that a couple times for films I prepped for, like 1991 and stuff that were just fucking atrocious on YouTube. I'm like,
I don't start in 1.5.
No.
If I get like halfway through the movie and I'm like, then I'm like,
no, I could see this being I could see this being very drowning on you, because, like, I mean, if you don't like Meatball Machine, there's no way you're digging this shit, man.
To be fair, I didn't hate it though. I just, it was like, it was super goofy. There was some funny stuff, like people flying through like doors and shit, and the thing with this melodramatic, like overdramatic, like thing with the brother and stuff like that. And there was some funny stuff in it, but it was just like, I just wanted it to be more like trauma or something, like more like effects and people exploding and dying and stuff like that. And it didn't give me what I wanted.
Right. Yeah, I know that there's a shout out to Qui-Gon in this, man, with the earless. Is it Hiroshi? The scene where the dude gets his ear cut off and stuff like that. I think it has something to do with Qui-Gon. I'm pretty fucking sure it does.
What's Qui-Gon?
You know, the Japanese film, the anthology, film. There's a scene there's a character like the earless Hiroshi film or a character or whatever, and I'm pretty sure that.
Wait, did we review that on here?
I think you did. I wasn't on the show, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were referring to when they did that earless gig in this one too. Because I think the guy's name was even Hiroshi or something like that. I think it's the same thing. And I was like, oh shit.
Is that the one with the like witch in the winter lumberjack forest?
Is that the one with the earless one? I think so. It's been a while.
No, there's like a.
You mean one of the shorts? Yeah. That's the anthology film. Yeah.
Qui-Gon?
Yeah. The first two segments of that movie are really good, and then the third one's kind of weak.
Yeah, right. But I'm pretty sure that they have kind of a shout out to that in this with the earless part. I think that's what it's referring to. I'm pretty fucking sure. So I kind of got that vibe, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's even the dude's name in that segment too. But I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong. I might be just totally talking on my ass. But you never know. I'm like Michael Rappaport. I don't fact check.
What about you, Dave? What you think of this one? I take it it's probably not a movie for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably guess it. It's not my type of movie. I mean, even the title, even seeing that title, Battlefield Baseball, I was already thinking the worst. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be comedic and ridiculous and just off the wall and zany and goofy, and it's not gonna be for me. You know what it reminded me of at first? It was a combination of Meatball Machine and that movie Versus from the year 2000.
Yeah, but Versus is like absolutely amazing.
It's good. I remember I saw Versus for the first time for Summer Series because it was a 2000 movie. And
is that one that Doug Tilley picked?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like
oh man, I have been in love with Versus for years, man. I had the old Tokyo Shock DVD, and then Arrow came out with that amazing edition with all the different cuts on it and shit. It was like, fuck, man, the movie's fun, man. I love that shit, dude. It's great.
It's a 2-hour movie, and I think I had my fill of the shtick after 20 minutes. That was just it for me.
I guess if you're not into that type of stuff, I could see how, after 2 hours, you're just like, oh my God, dude, like, seriously, I've really just worn off all the skin on my balls from scratching them.
Yeah, I didn't understand in the beginning. All of a sudden, a game broke out for no reason. Then this guy comes around and said, I changed my face. And then they break out. When they broke out in song and they did that, that is actually my type of comedy. I actually liked that. That was like the shining moment. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's break out into a fucking love song in the middle of all this. And it's cheesy, but that made me laugh. To me, that type of humor I'm okay with. Something that you would see in like fucking Naked Gun. Like all of a sudden, something tells me I'm into something good. Anyway, it's just, for me, then the guy looks like fucking Jim Carrey from The Mask. That's all I kept thinking of seeing him. And then next thing you know, guys are being nailed on fucking boards and the gravestones are popping up and this mother's fighting martial arts with people and there's nubbins in there. And all of a sudden they're picking teams that anybody can play, I guess. I'll take you. And there's this fucking, it's zany, ridiculous.
It's so Japanese.
It is, man. It's just, you know what it is?
It wouldn't matter to me, even if it wasn't. It's just, you know what it reminds me of? And I know you love the movie, Moodz, so I thought you were going to love this. This, to me, fits in the same drawer as a movie like fucking Psycho Gorman. It's just not my type.
I love Psycho Gorman, too. But
it's just ridiculous. That's fine. I'm not going to knock. That's your taste. That's, to me, it's not for me. It's just not my taste. It's just not for me. And that's the kind of movie this is.
Psycho Gorman definitely heavily inspired by like Sentai, like the old Power Ranger type shit.
Yeah,
I've never seen any of that. So
see, the comedy works better for me in something like Psycho Gorman than it does for there's a lot of goofiness. Like this movie to me is like a live action cartoon. It's so cartoony. Right, it's just so ridiculous. Like everything is so stupid in the movie. Like even the cheerleaders are like cartoony because they're just so bad. It's so fucking bad, and it's stupid shit. Like actually, this made me laugh. Like the poison bat that was called the poison bat.
Yeah.
I'm like, you couldn't come up with a better name than a poison bat. Fucking made me laugh. Didn't
they say like it has like all the deadliest poisons in the world or something?
I thought that was actually a really cool premise, that this bat was like loaded with all these poisons and
it's
shit.
like,
I'm like,
one poison, one deadly poison isn't enough.
No, but it made me fucking laugh when they're like, yeah, the poison bat, that's called poison bat. And I was like, blah! I'm like, fuck, it's so stupid.
We call it poison bat because it's a
poison bat. And I'm like, oh, see, that shit makes me laugh. And most people would be like, but that's not even funny. I'm like, but it is funny because they didn't even bother to name the fucking bat.
Right? Yes, they did. They named it poison bat.
They did poison bat.
That's okay. You can't judge humor. Like that's what I've learned in life. Is that humor, more than anything, is very subjective. Like something you might think is the funniest fucking movie ever, this dude over here thinks it's fucking horrible, and it happens. So that's why I don't like. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, this movie's stupid." I'm just going to say it's not for me. And I thought that maybe people that are into like silly-ish things like Psycho Gorman might like something like this, or the Meatball Machine, things like that. That's just not for me. But I'm not going to say somebody's wrong for liking it. If you like it and that makes you laugh, who am I to say?
I just love like everything that Astron 6 has done, man, is been right up my alley because I like that kind of. The thing is, like, they make these, these very silly type movies, but they also put a lot of fucking effort into it, man. Like there's some good writing in there too. I mean, the comedy might not be for everybody, but there's a lot of fucking effort in there, man. Like they're not just making these silly ass lowbrow films for $5 and shit. There's a lot of heart in that shit, and I mean, I get it. I mean, comedies, like of course, are subjective. Well, that's a great example. The Editor is exactly what I'm talking about, because that movie might seem to the average person to be super, super goofy, and they might be confused at what they're seeing. But if you look at the core narrative of that and what they're accomplishing with all the shout outs to Italian films and all the little anecdotes that they put in there, dude, it's absolutely fucking brilliant. Every time I watch The Editor, I pick out something else that I didn't see. There's so many little things in there from tons of films, of classic Italian films. It's so well done. Oh man, dude.
I agree. I love it, but I wish they would have taken, if they would have taken the comedy out, then it would be like a fucking 10 out of 10 for me.
That's the thing.
If they didn't go that route.
Astron 6 hasn't really done a lot of projects that weren't fully comedy based. I mean,
yeah, I know.
I mean, from everybody involved in Astron 6, I mean, like really, what's probably the most serious thing that they did?
The Void.
The Void, probably, yeah. I mean,
comedy.
And that was that was Jeremy that directed that one too. He looks just like Jeremy. Looks just like him.
Another Jeremy. Wow.
Yeah, he looks just. It's so funny how similar they look, man. It's crazy. It's like Jeremy played fucking the Riddler in the new Batman movie too.
I gotta see that. That's
oh my
funny.
God, it's crazy. But yeah, you're right. The Void is probably the most serious thing. But again, done well. But yeah, no, like I really, really wanted to love Battlefield Baseball, man. I was like, well, it's from the director that did Meatball Machine. I think that's pretty batshit crazy. And it's a baseball movie. And like, I think my anticipation was just too high for this amazing. All I could picture in my mind was like bloody ball. Guys are just going to be brutalized in this 9-inning game. And I'm like, fuck, it doesn't play out like that. And I'm like, I was so disappointed, man. The third act I thought was just really below average. And I was so let down by it. But, there was parts to the movie that made me laugh. But I won't lie. I was deathly bored at times. And honestly, man, when it comes down to like musicals and shit like that, like musical parts in movies and stuff, that's where it kind of loses me too. Being a big music guy, it's kind of ironic a little bit that I'm not a big musical person when it comes to film. I don't know. I just like to separate the two, I guess. I like good scores and good soundtracks, but when you full-blown musicals, which, I'm not opposed to doing a part 2 of, we did a musical episode one time, and I thought it was kind of fun.
I think there's Stage Fright is out there too.
That's a great fucking film.
Stage I mean, we could do stage. There's lots of other musicals that we could probably throw in there, but
and on the Apocalypse, that's one.
Yeah. I've never seen that one. That's actually one I haven't seen.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. I think you'd like it. It's got a lot of heart to it,
But Stage Fright is funny. Like, it's funny because Stage Fright now is very offensive to a lot of people. Because I think there's like a lot of gay jokes and shit in that, right?
Oh yeah, right in the beginning there is. Yeah, it's funny. I'm gay, but not in that way. He says.
Oh man.
Funny shit.
Oh man. Yeah, that's just funny. But yeah, anyways, I don't know, man. I was just, I was pretty happy that this movie was only about 80 minutes. To be honest, I chuckled a couple times. I think it's something that maybe rewatching, knowing what I'm getting myself into, would probably be a little bit more maybe enjoyable, or maybe even more disappointing. Because like I usually don't get my hopes up too much, but I was like, Battlefield Baseball, the fucking title suggests we're gonna have some Battlefield Baseball. We get it in the opening scene, and that was it. It's, I don't know, just kind of disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm not alone. I thought you guys. Well, maybe not JP. I thought Moodz. I thought you were gonna love it. To be honest,
I'm very hit and miss with goofy movies. Like, some of them work for me and some don't. I don't think that. I think this one just it felt like it could have been better. I think that we echoed that a few times. Me and Moodz here.
There was funny parts. Like I like the coach was completely over the top and made me kind of laugh, because I'm like thinking back to myself, and I'm like, I coach baseball, and I'm like, I'm not like that, but I probably could be. Like just so aggressive and over the top and screaming at the kids and just going crazy and shit like that. But I'm not going to be doing that with 12-year-olds. But I've had coaches that have been over the top, and it just kind of makes me laugh, because like if you played sports and you probably had a coach like that at one time, it was kind of funny.
I know I know Moodz played baseball. Dave, did you play baseball growing up?
I played baseball for like 3 years. Yeah, I played a lot. I wasn't very good, but I played.
I played a little bit. I didn't play my whole life.
Yeah, I played for 12 years. I played for 12 from 6. Nice. I played from the time I was like, the T-ball of 6 until 18. So, and then I moved away. But yeah, I love baseball. But that's why I was just like such high hopes for this, man. But I don't know, man. I just thought it was so. I guess that's part of the joke, like him not realizing that this whole family thing was all connected and shit, I guess, but I just didn't really find it funny. I was like, but that's ridiculous. It's not like you were 4 years old when this shit went down. I'm like, you were old enough to like, bury a ball through your dad's head with your tornado pitch. Right. I think the glove was the funniest thing of the whole movie for myself. That big oversized glove. I don't know. I just found it funny. Like, this is the glove that he needed to catch his son's pitch.
Super cartoony.
So super cartoony. It's live action cartoons is what it is, man. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys have anything else on?
Nope.
No, not me.
Yeah, I don't really think I do either.
I think Dave's turn.
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll say it like this. You know what I was thinking? I think it might have worked as like a short in an anthology or something. Like take the jokes that you did in here, your best things, and come up with something quick. And maybe they should have a horror movie, freaking sports anthology, and a short of this could be in it. Back to that conversation. That'd be kind of cool. But I'm gonna say this, even though it wasn't my type of movie at all, and the humor, it was too ridiculous and goofy for me. I can't sit here and say that I wasn't impressed at all with some of the filmmaking techniques. I like the stuff they did here. It wasn't shoddily done. So I can't really come down too hard on the movie. I think that all type of movies have their place. Like, this movie has its place. That place just doesn't happen to be on my shelf, but that's okay. Some people are into it. But they all have their place. I'm not going to come too low. I'm not going to say it's garbage. It's not for me, but there is filmmaking merit here, and I see what they're going for, and they succeeded in that. So I'll give it the cop out. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough to obtain this one right now. It was released by Subversives, and that label's been defunct forever. So the DVD goes for crazy money, but you know what, man? It had moments. And I think I'm coming in actually at the same as you, as 5 out of 10. And it's because I was so let down by the third act, man. All I wanted was, if I had got that battlefield scene, I think it would have probably changed everything. But I mean, there was still some fun moments. I like the scene where, the zombie team rolls around in the dump truck, and then the dump truck just like dumps their bodies out. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, why roll around in a bus when you're fucking dead? You just dump out the bodies and then go to work. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, it's pretty average to me, man. I was pretty tempted to, do the 1.5 in this one too. I was getting, I wasn't feeling this one that much.
Well, I found a way to do it on Plex, which is like,
oh yeah,
the shit.
Yep, real fast on Plex.
So JP.
Oh, did you rate it?
Yeah, man, I had 5 out of 10 also. That's exactly what I had. I was surprised Dave was even that high. I was expecting Dave to be around a 4. Maybe even more.
The filmmaking was good, though. That's what I'm saying. I can't come down to a movie even if it's not my type.
Yeah.
I don't like to review a movie that way and say, granted, if I'm sitting here with my friends on Friday night and they say, hey, you ever see Battlefield Baseball? I say, that's trash. I don't really think it's trash. It's trash as far as its capability of entertaining me and my friends, I think. But I'm still going to say it's worth the 5 out of 10 because I think that it was well made enough. That's all.
Right. Yeah. It definitely is, man. I mean, there's definitely some skill involved here. It's just more the execution of the narrative, man. Just kind of miss some beats there. GP, what'd you say, 5?
Yeah, I gave it a 5 as well.
Wow, 5s across the board.
I was not expecting that. I thought I was a 5 and GP was going to be like a 6 and Moodz was going to be like an 8. Isn't that funny?
Shit. All right, so that is going to conclude Battlefield Baseball from 2003.
Did you guys realize what this weekend is? It's the 15-year anniversary.
Can't believe it's been that long.
All right, so getting into the third and final film here on episode 224, Killer Baseball Flicks. We're going to take it back to 2013 with a film called Billy Club. When you hear that title, Billy Club, like I immediately think of
police,
like a police Billy Club. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, the title does make sense to the film. So, quick little synopsis. 4 friends who played Little League have reunited to pay tribute to their teammates who were murdered 15 years earlier, only to have a vengeful mass killer with a weaponized baseball bat targeting them. All right, so Billy Club. Dave, why don't you start us off? What are your thoughts on this one? I assume it's going to be, yeah.
No, this is the second time watching me. The first time I watched it was the year of the slasher for Exploding Heads. I wanted to see as many as I could, and anybody that had recommendations, I was willing to look into them and watch them. And I had a few people mention this one to me, and being that it was so recent, and I hadn't seen it, I said, okay, I checked it out, and I watched it. It was fine. It didn't make my top 50 list or anything, but it was one of the many honorable mentions. It was just fine. So I liked it. I knew what I was getting into this time. And ultimately, I had the same experience with it. I enjoyed my time with it. I love slashers, so that's always going to be a good thing. You have a couple nice kills, which is always good. The setup is fine. You care about the characters. And a cool reveal. I'm not exactly sure about one aspect of it when something's taking place. I forgot that there was that type of reveal from the first time I saw it. So I wasn't looking this time. You know what I'm saying? When the guy's in the woods and something happens?
Yeah. Like, well, I'm talking
how could it happen if this is this?
Right. Like my biggest complaint with a reveal like this is, I guess in the narrative, it's like they haven't seen their friend for 15 years because he moved away after the events of, Billy killing off 2 of the teammates and the coach, right? So, so Tommy moves away for, he's been gone for 15 years and he shows back up to, to hang out with the homies. It's been 15 years, kind of thing, right? It's so hard to pull off a reveal like this because and I think we have to spoil this to have a conversation about this. Because even though it's been 15 years, do you think that you would not fully recognize the person that shows up? Or would you think it's that person that is supposed to be that person? You know what I'm saying?
It's tough to say, and I knew that that's where you were heading when you started talking about it. But it is from a young age, a very young. What were they? 8 years old to what they are now.
They're like 10 years. I think they're around like 10 years old. So they're like in their mid 20s now. So 20. So 10 to 25. 15 years. This dude shows up, and you're like, oh, hey Tommy, what's up? But like no one ever questions it in the entire film. And that it's so crazy because, and it's funny. Like, if you do pay, like, I mean, I guess it's, you know, if you do pay attention, is what happens. Somebody gets killed in the beginning of the film. But my point is like, unless they looked very similar.
Well, my thing is that I don't remember exactly how the conversation goes, but I feel like they recognize him before he even says who he is.
No.
He never does.
They have that conversation in the bar. They say, "Wait a minute, don't you know who this is?" And then they start saying it. And he goes, "Oh, it's you." And I haven't, because at first they didn't. He told the girl who he was behind the bar.
Did he?
He went in the bar first before those two guys came in.
I thought the girl
himself to her.
He said something to the girl, and then she instantly recognized him.
No, I think again.
I mean, it's one of those things, though. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter how it plays out. It's still the fact that they bought into this person being Tommy, because even if you weren't 100% sure, you would still put the connection together and be like, "Is this Tommy?"
See, I'm like a little iffy on it because like I see people now that I went to high school with, and I'm like, holy shit, that's them. I didn't even realize it was them.
Right. I know. The way JP's talking about it, that's almost unforgivable. Like if he was to walk in a room and the three of them were there and they say, "Hey, it's Tommy," and we know that that's not the way it is, then I would say that's cheap and it's not good. But for the convenience of the plot, and for the, you know, and to keep a secret for a reveal later, this is one of those instances where I don't mind suspending disbelief a little bit. But this didn't really bother me so much.
The problem is it's not coincidental that he's at that diner, because Tommy is supposed to be there. They were expecting Tommy, because it's not like, because they were supposed to be reconciling after like 15 years. It was kind of like the 15-year anniversary and stuff like that. And, you know, it's like they knew he was going to be there. It wasn't just like, oh shit, you're here. Right? And then you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even get that.
It's supposed to.
No, I don't think that's true. I thought they just happened to come in after the game and he was there. Yeah. Yeah, I think they just decided then, like, hey, we should pay tribute to this because it happened at this time. I don't think it was like a planned thing.
Well, because they play off the 15th anniversary type thing as to why Tommy was coming back and.
No, but they do that after they realize they're all together.
Yeah, I guess.
I think so.
I guess.
Yeah, I think it came along naturally. Like it was just, okay, let's do this, and
so I guess
that didn't bother me. What bothered me, Moodz, is the way we're supposed to accept, almost like, and I don't, okay, almost like that one scene in High Tension when you see the guy in the truck, which I had the problem, which is the only time I had the problem, and I'm not going to go down that road. Not with JP. Honestly, JP, I defend it more than you would even think. But the thing is this. There's the one scene when there was a reveal, we find out what's happened. But in order for that to happen, didn't that character get hit in the back of the head with a shovel by the killer? But then later on, you're supposed to think that he's the killer? So what, he did it to himself? Why did they do that? That's what I have a problem with. That, to me, was cheap. Not accepting the other stuff. Or am I remembering it wrong?
No, I think the person that gets hit in the head with the shovel is the sheriff. He's not the only guy that gets killed with a shovel in the film.
Maybe not hit with a shovel, but didn't he go down? Didn't the killer come to him and attack him and knock him down? Do something where he was, if you were to look back with a reveal, say, wait a minute then. If you're the killer, then who did that to you? We clearly saw somebody come up and injure you or incapacitate you for a short time. I forgot what they did to him, but they did something. There was a search going on in the woods, and he was by himself while the other guy went off, and something happened to him. But it's been a minute, so I can't.
Yeah, dude, I know what you're saying, and I think there's an explanation for it, but it's been a little bit. So I can't.
Well, I
remember.
hope there is. I hope there is, because in my notes, all it says is cool reveal, good ending. Those are my last 2 notes. So, but I remember thinking about that, and I was like, well, we'll see if they bring it up. And that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, like my only biggest complaint with the movie is, like, you know, even though it's been 15 years, you think you would just recognize him as not being Tommy. Right? Yeah. Like, that's the only thing. Like, it's you would possible. Eventually just be like, okay, man, like, because they did talk about how they were all friends. They weren't just teammates, they were actually friends. Right? So it's not like you just play ball with this guy once a week or whatever, but they were actually friends. You think you would just kind of, even though it's 15 years later, people change and shit, but like, still, like, if you were actually friends, you'd still kind of recognize the mannerisms. And it's one of those reveals that's really hard to pull off. Believably, I guess.
I don't think I have as big of an issue with it as you. Just
it's not even that big of an issue. I just have a hard time believing. I just have a hard time believing that you wouldn't figure it out before it's figured out. You're like, I don't know, man. I would question it right away. I'm like, bro, you don't look like Tommy. Like, there's something off about you. Like, you kind of remind me of, you know, this person that killed half our fucking ball team. But, like, you would think that you would remember that, though, too. Like, you know, Billy killed a couple of your teammates and your coach. That face would be embedded in your mind. You're like, fucking Billy, man, he's a fucking murderer. That's crazy. Like, it's big news. Like, you kind of remember that shit. I don't know. It's just the way my brain works.
I hear you. It's plot convenience, but the way I look at it, it's no worse than, like, the reveal in, like, a ton of slasher. Happy Birthday to Me, or, you know, when we're asked to, like, suspend our disbelief about certain things for the sake of the narrative.
At least they do our diligence as a viewer of actually showing you without telling you when it happens, when Tommy gets killed by Billy and steals his identity, essentially, right? At least they show that in the film, because if they didn't show that and we were just supposed to suspend our belief and believe that this guy that showed up as Tommy and was actually Billy kind of thing, and it's like, I think that's a little bit more convenient. It would have been a lot easier to do as filmmaking, but, like, at least they showed you that. And so you can kind of put yourself into that part and like, well, they fucking showed that. They actually did kill off Tommy. So. And
all the flashbacks were good. Like, they were a highlight of the movie. I loved it. Every time they showed the flashbacks to everything, and then they showed the kills and doing the numbers and all that stuff, and it was cool.
It's you know my favorite scenes is when they're hooking up in the room and she's like, I'm in the shower, and she comes out and dude's like, you're dirty and you're not wet.
Right. Dude, you know what my favorite scene is in the film? Is not, like, actually the best kill in the film is the decapitation scene where the guy's on the four-wheeler. But that
Friday 5, the junior kill.
Right. So, but it's not actually, like, the decapitation looks pretty good. You know, head looks a little bit fake, but the scene is shot really well for an indie film. It looks really good. But my favorite part about that scene is when the four-wheeler hits that fucking tree and the body goes flying without the head. That's Superman shit, man. It's so fucking funny, dude. I rewound it like 3 times while I was watching. I was like, blah, this is so fucking awesome, dude. It looks amazing. It looks so good. That's a great dummy death without even thinking about it being a dummy. Oh, it's so good, man. So much fun. But, you know, the kills overall.
Did you realize the guy had a toy gun?
Right.
The guy that was carrying the gun around, he pulled it. Dude, I'm telling you, it 100% looks like a cap gun I had when I was a kid.
Dude,
I couldn't believe how much
it was a cap gun. Definitely was.
Right.
It definitely is.
It's so funny.
You know, the kills aren't that bad in this movie. Like, you know, there's such a good setup for it. I mean, you got the spiked baseball bat, you got the knife through the bat and stuff. So, like, at least it all had to do with, like,
the
a catcher.
spiked baseball bat is kick ass.
When he fucking smashes that one dude's face with it, man, and, like, when he pulls it up and, like, you see the chunks of the face come off his face, I was like, oh god. And that's kind of crazy. But they do cop out on one when they kill the one girl. It's off screen. And I was like, and I thought the cop kill with the shovel was like, it is what it is. The kills are hit and miss. The body count's pretty high because of the backstory kills too with the 2 baseball players and the coach. So I think there's like 11 kill count. I always like to mention. I always like to
got a fucking baseball bat sticking out of his mouth. I'm like, how do you do that?
Right. I always like to have the body count kill for the slashers, but you know, it's. I think it's still a pretty good film, man. It's not as good as Blood Junkie. I don't know if you guys ever seen Blood Junkie before. I personally think Blood Junkie's a better film. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot more low budget and stuff. It's from the same director. It was released by Troma. Actually released. It wasn't made by Troma, but it was released by them. But it was a film that came out in 2010. I championed the shit out of that one for years on my channel. Love Blood Junkie. It's a great film. Great low budget slash. Did you ever see that one, Dave?
I'll check it. No, I didn't see it. I almost saw it once, I remember, and didn't get it around to it. But I'd like to see it. It's hard to find, isn't it? It's only on freaking the disc, and it's out of print, maybe?
Yeah, I would assume it's probably... I mean, it got released around that time on Troma, so...
It's available for rent.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Check it out. It's low budget, but it's cool, man. I it's just one of those kind of cool indie slasher films, man. That kind of sticks out, but this was a decent follow up. It's definitely Billy Club is definitely like more of a budget film than Blood Junkie, but I got to say, man, at least the killer actually. It's funny because they call him the umpire. He kind of looks like a catcher to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
totally.
I mean, catchers and umpires, but I mean, he just more or less looks like a catcher. But yeah. Anyways, minor problems.
Yeah. I know that like the whole I think they title him as the or in the description of the movie they say he's wearing umpire gear.
Yeah. Which is essentially almost exactly what catchers wear, but I think he does have.
Yeah.
I think he does have the catcher vest on, or the chest protector. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Maybe by the artwork, it kind of looks like that. But
yeah, it almost looks a little S&M-y too.
Yes, it does. Yep. First time I saw it, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look that. Totally. It's one of those guys.
But I was expecting this movie to be way more goofy because this is my second time watching it. But the first time I watched it, I was like, I expected it to be like super goofy, but it wasn't. It wasn't really that goofy. It's played. I mean, there's comedy, but it's played pretty straight.
Yeah, there is comedy, man. I like when the dude when they get pulled over in the vehicle there, and the cop looks at the dude in the back, and he's like, he calls him gingerbread. That shit made me laugh out loud.
Right. Or how about later when they eat the mushroom chocolates? That was good.
Yeah.
Eats all the fucking chocolates. He's tripping out like mad. Oh, that's funny. But they were likable. The girl was likable. He was likable. They were fine. The one guy was a little... for the most part, though, they were likable. That one part was funny, too. When he's like, I'm not gay.
You're gay.
Remember? You're gay.
Dude, I felt bad for him, man.
I did too. Right.
I just don't understand why he made that pass like that, though. I was like, bro.
Because he looked at him, as he said.
Yeah, but he didn't really do that, though. He was just being a little bit aggressive. Like, I don't know.
It's like that scene in Boogie Nights when he kisses him.
But
New Year's Eve.
Oh, right. It kind of makes sense, though, man. Throughout the whole movie, there's so many sexual innuendos through the whole movie. Like, there's nothing but sexual jokes. So.
I like when he goes to piss in the bathroom, and there's a sign that says, like, please keep the bathroom clean and watch your stream. And he's just pissing all over the place. So much stuff.
Right. I gotta say, though, man, like... we got to mention that, like, the killings happened in 81, 15 years later would be 96, so this movie's based in the mid-90s. I thought the wardrobes and everything looked really good for the time period. I was like, that looks like 96 to me, man. I wasn't questioning.
I couldn't tell I couldn't be, if I didn't, like, know that, I wouldn't be able to say, oh, this is a set in the 90s.
Yeah, see, I knew, like, by the pants, and, like, there was just certain things. I was like, no, it seems like... I mean, just knowing that it was set in 96, I'm like, it looks like 96.
Yeah, the girl had a flannel on, too, and there was a lot of
well, that shit was, like, it was all...
time,
It was all big at that times and shit, right? So...
I just forgot about that. I didn't realize it was 90s, but you're 100% right. 81 and 15 years later, it's for whatever reason it just didn't register as I was watching it that this was taking place in 96. But now that you pointed it out, that's cool.
I kind of like that.
I didn't expect the lead female to get naked.
Yeah, she does a little bit, right?
No, me neither.
Sometimes I just never like when there's certain character types where I just don't expect it, and that was one.
What'd you guys think of the guy eating all the fucking mushroom or the chocolate mushrooms and then tripping out?
Oh,
That was awesome.
Dude, his trip out actually makes sense. I'm like, fuck, man, I've been there before. Like, those mushroom trips,
Indeed.
man, you're just like, it kind of like, you can tell the director's definitely done mushrooms before because they got it,
Yep.
they got it pretty right on the effects. So I was like, yeah, that worked.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, man. Yeah, I gotta say, man, one of my biggest complaints with this movie, though, is the fact that, like, this movie's too quiet. There's barely any score to this film. It kind of picks up towards, like, the in the third act a little bit, but throughout the movie, there's, like, no music. It's weird.
I think I kind of noticed that too.
It's so quiet. And I'm like, it's a fucking slasher film. Like, you need that score to kind of like build suspense and things like that. But it's like, it plays out on this, like, it has like such a serious tone through it, but it has like all these like sexual innuendo jokes throughout it and stuff. But it's like playing itself super serious. It's got a weird tone because there's of the lack of score in the film. I thought that was very strange. I don't know if that's just a budget thing, but it does kind of pick up a little bit. There is a little bit of music, but it's too quiet of a movie for myself. Way too quiet.
I tell you, I would rather have too quiet of a movie, especially a slasher, than the bombastic freaking loud slashers of the 90s.
Yeah, but
I was talking about it the other day because we watched Urban Legends Final Cut, and it got me thinking about the slasher movies in like from Scream and the post Scream movie, and everything was orchestral and everything was this bombastic freaking brass section and horns for everything, and I'm like, this is a slasher. Why they got to get so crazy? I'm not saying I don't want a score. I love a score. I'm just saying. Yeah. Given the two, I'd rather have a quiet film than fucking, because you know what I'm talking about with those 90s slashers.
Yeah,
right?
man.
It's very
all that post Scream shit, man, wasn't just like, it wasn't just over aggressive fucking. It wasn't even ambient scores. It was like, it was very orchestrated scores and shit, but like, but it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't just the scores. It was the fucking radio rock soundtracks and those fucking things too, man. That really separated 80s slashers from 90s, because in the 80s you wouldn't have soundtracks like that. The music would be a lot different. But then you had like all this literal radio rock shit that was playing, and it was just like, whatever the hottest band was at that moment was on that soundtrack. You got fucking just all these bands. And I'm just like, oh my God. It was just so mainstream. It was kind of annoying like that, but I know what you're saying.
And the actors and actresses, you knew the actors because they were from something else.
Yeah, they were all from Dawson's Creek.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. In the 80s, actors got their starts in slashers,
right,
then moved on to greater things sometimes. Most of the time, no, but sometimes they did. But in the 90s, it was the opposite. They were known something else. Okay, let's put these people in a slasher. It'll be nice in this, and we'll have loud sounds, and it'll be edited nice, and we'll have rock, this music, just like you said. And anyway, I didn't mean to harp on it. It's just that I was thinking about that recently, about a slasher movie and that orchestral shit.
It's true, though, man. You're right, though, man, because back in the day, you had like guys like Tom Hanks who were appearing in these low-budget slasher films, and it made it huge, and right? And in the 90s, how it worked was if you got yourself on a teenager drama show like Dawson's Creek, you went from TV into horror films, and then you made your progression up into like the higher level, films that people consider better than horror films or whatever. And so like you got Katie Holmes, and all of a sudden she's married to Tom Cruise, and then you got her starring in these A-list films, and that's the way it went in the 90s and shit, right? Kind of different. So
yeah, very strange.
It is strange. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking Billy Club, man. Wow. I see families giving no fucks upstairs right now. Dogs barking, people are banging around. That's fucking awesome. Wow, that's coming through real hardcore right now. Thanks for ruining the show, motherfuckers.
Oh, that's funny.
That's Jeremy in spirit.
Right.
There you go. There you go. Moving furniture and everything.
Yeah, man. Speaking of that, when he looks at him, the reason why he leans over and kisses him is because he says something on the lines of like, we're on the same team. And he was
We're on the same team.
That's what it was.
And then he took it as, we're on the same team. It's like, oh, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a classic example of someone who's like harboring their true self and is like desperate to like finally let it out, you know, being gay and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's something to cover. Why not? It's not making fun of it. A funny line comes from it because he goes, "I'm not gay, you're gay." I mean, and that's funny. But I mean, that's kind of what somebody in that position probably would say. But it's nice to actually see when they do something like that in a movie. Just one little extra thing of character development.
Yeah, just something. So you know, it makes your film not empty. You know what I mean? Like you have substance in there, different things, and you know, keeps the viewer interested.
Right. And maybe this guy's such a smart ass and like a ball buster because he has his own insecurities inside. Because
I think
I think that's bang on. I think that's absolutely bang on. Yeah.
So I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Billy Club. Ratings? I guess I'm up. Unless you guys have anything else.
No, I'm good.
All right.
No,
so
cool.
So Billy Club, I think is a really decent and above average slasher film from the time period it came out in 2013. I mean, I was always so hit and miss in these times, man. Like there was like a resurgence of slasher films. I think in 16 or 17, there was a bunch of really good ones that year, and then the next year there like wasn't even one. You know, very far between at this time. I think this one actually still kind of sticks out. It's definitely got a memorable killer. It's got some decent kills in it. One thing I do like about this film is actually how it starts out when you get our killer Billy. There's a huge homage to Freddy Krueger in this film, man. You know, with him making the bat.
He's making the bat.
When he's making
100%.
the bat.
Totally.
100% is a total homage to Freddy. And I love that opening scene. It really kind of, and for me being a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, it's my favorite franchise. I was like, oh, well, dude, that just sucked me in right there. You know, it's awesome. But, you know, it plays out pretty good. I really enjoy this movie. I don't think it's like, you know, the crazy of all slasher films, but I think it's definitely decent, for the time it came out in. I just wish it had better music in it, man. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of this film. I think it's shot pretty well. I think it's acted pretty well. It's got some I love sexual innuendo jokes. You know, it's silly, but I like those. That's just my personality, so those things kind of work for me and stuff. But I'm going to come in at a 7 out of 10. I think it's a solid film. It's a very solid film.
Yeah. Back to me. I've liked this movie since I seen it. I think it was given to me actually probably by Mikey Fish as well as a Patreon.
Oh, did you review that? Oh, yeah, you did, right?
Yeah, he always gave me like, indie stuff.
Shit that was just on DVD.
Right, exactly. Stuff that's just on DVD and indie. Like he gave me Monster Man. There's like a bunch of flicks he gave me.
I got Monster Man too.
Yeah. But yeah, this one was fun. You know, it's easily digestible slasher flicks. As Dave Z and Moodz, slashers are some of my favorite films. So I will always a average slasher to me is easier to watch than like an average ghost movie. You know what I mean? Like there's always some redeeming aspects of slasher films for me. And I'm not saying this one's average. I think this one's above average. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Right on. Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. I think I liked it a little bit more than I did in the Year of the Slasher, but much like JP said, slashers to me, I could just put them on any time, and as long as it's adequate. I mean, I would rather watch an average or slightly above average slasher than any other type of subgenre.
Then Battlefield Baseball.
You know,
That's 100%, dude. Like, I'm not even joking. Like a slasher movie, like a bad slasher movie, I'd take over Battlefield Baseball.
Oh, certainly, especially if you're watching it with somebody, because you can have so much fun making fun of it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk about this on the next Exploding Heads. I've been looking at this a lot lately because I've been talking about 90s slashers a lot, and I've come to the conclusions. The more I watch them, and the more I can actually pinpoint my issues with them. So I'm to a point now where I think I'm going to say something controversial on the next show. Well, here now too. I honestly think if you take the slashers from 2010 to 2019 and pair them up against the slashers of the 90s, I think that the 2010s are actually a better decade for slashers. And
honestly, in a lot of ways, I agree, man. There's a lot of good ones, and I think that a lot of the good ones haven't been seen from that era, from 2010 to like 19. Like I said, I think it was like 17 or 18. No, it was 17. Maybe it was 16. There was like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 really top tier slasher films one year. And I was like, fuck, man, that's almost better than, the entire 90s right there just in 1 year.
They're spread out. Like, to me, the 90s has one great movie, one great slasher named Scream, and it's a 10 out of 10. And every other movie that have followed it, the highest rating I could give any of them is like a 6.5. For me, nothing comes close to. But that's just me. I want them to be great, but to me, they just weren't. So I can only go by that. I'm looking at the 90s slashers and everything that came out, and then I'm looking at these 2010s, little ones here, maybe there's only a couple a year, but I bet if I took like the top 10 from the 2010s and the top 10 against the 90s, I don't know. I think the 2010s might actually prevail, but that's another show.
I always found it so interesting, man. Like, I'm not like the massive. Everybody knows I'm not a massive Scream franchise fan. I respect Scream. I like Scream. But I always found it so interesting that, like, you have I Know What You Did Last Summer that came out the year after. Obviously, it was this, dubbed it like a Scream clone type thing. And, it was written by Kevin Williamson and stuff like that. And just, like, how much of a piece of shit it is compared to, like, Scream, in a sense, man. Like, and my problem is with the movie, though, man. Obviously, I think the writing's a little bit sloppy in it, too. But the casting is just so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad, dude. Like, Scream's casting is so much better. Like, Freddie Prinze Jr.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Freddie Prinze Jr. is a fucking dork, dude.
I just love her. I just want to see her do anything on
bad, dude. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt is a horrible actress. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is not a great actor. Like, Ryan Phillippe is probably the best one in the film, and I don't know.
Yeah, he is pretty good in there.
That's the thing, man. I'm just like, and I think the dude from Big Bang Theory and Roseanne's in that movie too. I think he's okay, and he's in a small role. Oh
yeah,
I think he's in a small role, and I always liked him, whatever his name is. I always forget his name, but like Freddie Prinze Jr. is like the lead in the film, and he's just bad. He's a fucking bad act. It kills the whole movie.
Leave him alone,
dude.
Honestly,
I've done this over the years in this show. I always harp on Freddie Prinze Jr. Like, where is he now? What's he doing? What's he doing these days? Nothing.
Fucking knows, right? Yeah. Dude, I remembered this, though. I got to take it back. I got to take back what I said. I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer for the second time ever this past year.
Damn.
Last year.
I saw that fucker in the theater. I saw it in the theater.
For the podcast. And I actually, it was the high. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. So I got to take back what I said. You have Scream with a 10, that movie with a 7, and I don't think any other movie in the 90s, for me, obviously, I'm speaking for myself,
so
comes in higher.
I've said this before. I always say like the big 3 later 90s slashers, which are Scream, I Know You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend. See, I think Urban Legend isn't it's not a great film, but I like the idea of Urban Legend because it's dealing with urban legends. And, even though they don't pull off the movie as exactly how it probably should have been, but they still played off some of those urban legends decently. I don't know. I would rather watch it. I Know What You Did Last Summer just to avoid watching Freddie Prinze Jr. for 94 fucking minutes. But
you guys are skipping one of the top tier slashers of the 90s.
Which one? That?
Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh my God. Seriously, dude. Fucking stop it.
It is.
Don't even. No franchise movie in the 90s. Nope. I would even take, what else came out? Well, yeah, I would definitely take Halloween 6 over it. And I would definitely take fucking H2O and fucking New Nightmare over it. No question. No question.
I think the best one is Jason Goes to Hell. But I also like Valentine.
Valentine was 2002, I think.
Yeah, Valentine's in the 2000s.
A 90s.
Oh, was it?
I had that feel to
Yeah, see, that's the problem, is there actually weren't that many slashers in the 90s. See, I was like lumping the early 2000s and the 90s together, that like
and you
Scream
still
era.
can. I still think it's a formidable argument to say the 2010s versus the.
I just
the
don't know
post-Scream
any good slashers from the 2010s. What's it? Maniac, I guess.
You know, like when you actually break
Girl
down
House?
the 90s for slasher films,
Yeah, it's
like
okay.
there's not actually that many slasher films. Like, I mean, if you consider something like Dr. Giggles to be like, is Dr. Giggles compared like a slasher film? Like
It's
The
a
Dentist.
slasher. Yeah,
The
it's
Dentist.
fine.
The Dentist.
I like
is
Dr.
great.
Giggles and The Dentist, as a matter of fact. I do like those movies. But if you look at the 2010s and like each year, one comes out each year pretty much that makes that list worthy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean,
I'm gonna
you're
talk more about-
probably. I can see the argument for it, but I'm just not a huge fan of modern slashers. In general, like I don't really like a lot of them. I don't feel like they capture what I liked about slashers for the most part. But
True, but the 90s didn't either. That's
They
just it.
did
The
to
90s
me.
would have. That's fair. Okay, that's you.
yeah, and that's more
they're
of like a
just
nostalgic
newer,
thing.
extended, updated version of what the 80s slashers were for me.
There is some good ones, man. Like,
But there's so much different. Like, and I've been, like I said, because I've been watching them lately. This is the problem with 90s slashers. There's so much emphasis put on the fucking whodunit that it ruins the movie. Where in 80s slashers, they didn't even know people were dying until the fucking last reel of the film. And like, oh my god, this person that they were missing. But because of Scream, every fucking movie was a damn fucking murder mystery whodunit. They spent an hour on that instead of spending it on other things and just let the kids get bumped off. Who gives a fuck who's doing? We'll find out in the end when there's a reveal. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, but don't you think that
fucking
it's
90s slashers.
more like
It's formulaic.
Well, but is
Because of
is the originals not formulaic? Like the ones from
Yes,
the
they
80s,
were.
they're more.
But that's better though. Don't
This
you
one's
think it's
adding
better
a bit?
But they're also in the realm of being at the original time though too. Even though they were clones of each other, it still kind of worked, right? Because it was still, like I said, like they were still being original but not original at the same time. When you're talking about like 25 years later, it's not the same. It's just not the same thing.
I mean, I obviously prefer like 80 slashers, but I like them both for different reasons, and I do like the emphasis on like the whodunit of the 90s and the early 2000s, and I do like that the characters are more fleshed out, and the music is usually like higher budget. They're just higher budget movies, honestly. But I'm not saying that I don't like the low budget slashers of the 80s. I just like both of them for different reasons.
No, that's cool. It's all about personal preference.
You guys got to remember too, like I grew up. This was the new horror to me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have the '80s horror coming out new, so I have a lot of personal attachment to this stuff.
Well, that's all they had was Scream. You can ask anybody from that era what fucking got you into horror.
I mean,
and they're all gonna.
If we broke this down and asked Brandon what the best slasher film of all time, he'd tell you it came out in 2015, and that's The Final Girls.
Oh God!
No, Maniac. Maniac's his favorite.
Yeah, I know. I know he really. I know he really likes
Final Girls.
The Final
He's
Girls.
high on the Final Girls. It's in his top 20. Fuck, it might even be in mine, as a matter of fact. But I mean, I'd have to look at it because I know what I rate it, and I just, if a movie's an 8, if I give a movie an 8, there's only so many slashers I'd give it an 8. So when I made my top 50 list, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, Girl House was one I loved in 2014. That was really good. Charlie's Farm, that was recent. I really liked that one too.
Yeah.
I think that was in 14 also. I don't know, man. Did you ever watch
more.
I know this is a funny question. People are going to roll their eyes, but did you ever watch My Super Psycho Sweet 16 movies? It was the MTV
I want to
trilogy.
because you guys.
They're better than you would ever.
Dude, you would never fucking believe it, man. The first one is legitimate, dude. You would never believe this was produced for MTV. It's gory. It's fun. It's actually a good slasher movie. And like the thing is, man, part 2 and 3, they are what they are. They're not horrible movies, but it's like continuate. Like it's one big trilogy. I give them credit for like having continuity.
Yeah, it's almost like Fear Street before Fear Street.
It is. No, it is Fear Street before Fear Street. That's a great way of looking at it, man. I mean, there's been lots of good ones, man. Headless in 15, fucking The Sleeper in 12. Like
I do like The Sleeper.
There's been some good, like Bloody Bible Camp. Fuck off, I love that movie. Before anyone says anything, fuck off, I love it.
I don't even like that Hills Run Red movie, but I know a lot of people love it.
No, the Hills Run Red movie would have been fantastic if they had not done the really terrible CG on the kills, because the kills were good. But they kind of fucked it up with the CG. Yeah, the kills are
good. The reveal fucking completely ruined it for him. I said that's not possible at all.
All you gotta know when you're talking about Bloody Bible Camp from 2012 is that Reggie fucking Bannister's in it.
Reggie Bannister is probably one of the most underutilized.
I think he plays the priest in it. He plays the priest. I'm pretty sure he does. It's fucking funny, man.
Yeah.
I love some Phantasm. I actually watched Phantasm the other night just for fun.
Fuck the hell, man. The best Hatchet movie came out in 2013, which is Hatchet 3. Fuck, man. You're right.
Damn.
Yeah, you know what? I fucks with Laid to Rest a little bit. Behind the Mask.
Yeah.
That's A tier.
That's good shit.
Modern.
You know what is a really underrated slasher movie? Is fucking President's Day from 2010.
I can't get my fucking hands on it.
I actually have a DVD, and I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, our motherfucking homeboy, he is too. I'm looking it up right now. Chauncey Phillips is in it, man. Mr. Cool Duder. It's a good movie.
God.
It's actually it's legitimate. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's probably like the best movie ever appeared in. Maniac remake, 2012.
Maniac remake is next level.
Yeah. So, but I'm trying to prove Dave's point here of slasher films from 2010 and 19. There's a lot of good ones, man. I am scrolling through a list.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remind myself.
I even like Halloween. I know you guys didn't like Halloween 2018, but I like
Garbage.
It. It's like my, it's in the middle for me. I enjoyed it.
I liked Halloween Kills more.
Halloween Kills was even worse for me. It was even worse for me. Fuck that movie. Ugh. I can't wait till Halloween. I literally can't wait for Halloween Ends because it literally is called Halloween Ends. Thank the Lord that it's fucking ending.
You can hope. This chapter ends. Yeah.
Honestly, I liked Scream a lot too, if that counts.
It's too late.
2020. I'm just like, I'm whatever with it.
I thought we were talking like modern.
Just moderns? Yeah, I mean, they're still doing good stuff. I like Texas Chainsaw better than both of them. Well, no, not better than Halloween.
Texas Chainsaw
I definitely like it better than Scream.
Oh my God,
I like it a little better than Scream.
No, we had the bonus conversation on the show. We recorded a whole conversation about this, I think in between segments, and then I put it as a bonus segment at the end of the show. And a lot of people agreed with my thoughts on that one.
Really? Fuck them.
I did a good review, man. I'm telling you, I don't fucking promote my reviews much, but this one I think.
Oh, when you come on our show, man, it's all about self-promotion, man. Just do it up.
No, but this is the fucking bare bones thing on the Skeleton Crew feed. Me and Alex and fucking Jamie did it, and we really got into the Texas Chainsaw 2022. And I think if some people listen to that, they might have a better appreciation. That's one review that I want to pimp because I think we did a good job on that. But anyway,
no, it has a lot of pros. It has a lot of cons, and the short and long, because you probably didn't hear what I said about it, but my biggest issue with the film is that this is a direct. Oh, you did listen. Okay, so but like
I like it.
Dave listens to all of them.
But that's the thing, though. I'm surprised more people don't have an issue with that issue because, like, when you have a direct sequel to a film, you kind of want it to be on that same kind of level. But it's just there's so many things in the narrative that are so unbelievable. Right. And it's just like we're talking 50 years later here kind of thing. Right. Or 40 years or whatever it is. Yeah. But
what do you think is unbelievable?
Well, let's face it here, man. What's unbelievable is, well, first of all, obviously how Leatherface is moving after fucking 50 years. He's a little bit too agile for what he is. But that's not really my problem. My problem is that, in the first film, we have this Leatherface character. No fucks are given. And they kind of play it off like, he's been almost not doing this for so long. He's been kind of like hiding behind the surrogate mother and shit like that. And I just don't believe that whole narrative. I don't believe that this shit just happens like that.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's not something I can argue at all.
Okay, but the whole setup to the film. So that's my biggest problem with the Leatherface. Like, he's kind of hiding behind this whole surrogate mother thing, but the problem is how they play off with the whole sympathy thing, Right. So we get it, man. These people, these fucking YouTube stars roll in. They totally do them wrong. She ends up dying and stuff. And then it's like, it turns into the sympathy thing, man. It's like almost a revenge film for Leatherface at this point. And I'm just like, really? Like, this is we're going to set it up like this? It's so 2022 to make Leatherface a sympathetic character at this moment because he just lost a surrogate mother. Now he's going on a rampage. You just justified the murders. You can't fuck all these characters. Plus, they all sucked anyways. So it fucking makes sense why he goes back and kill all the people. You're going to make Leatherface sympathetic. He wasn't even close to being sympathetic in the original film. He was a motherfucking killer. Like, all of them were. Nobody, like, he should have still been like this. And it was a bad setup. I disagree with you. And I fucking say fuck the cancel culture, even though they were kind of making fun of it. Still, leave the YouTube shit, leave the YouTube star bullshit out of the movie, leave the cancel culture shit out of the fucking movie. Can we just do a shit without any of this bullshit, social media bullshit in these fucking movies? They were stars. They were chef stars on YouTube. Dude, there were so many things that was just driving me nuts. Just make a fucking movie, man. Like, I'm just glad they were in a secluded area with fucking kids and they all got bumped off. Well, I gotta say, because you don't get to see that enough. It's old school for me. Put them here, give them a reason to go, and let them get fucking whacked, and they did. It literally had a chainsaw massacre, and I gave them all the credit in the world for having an actual chainsaw massacre and not copping out at the end and leaving 2 survivors. That was fun. Yeah. So well, the sympathetic thing, that I can't even disagree with you on that, because that's right. That's your opinion on it. You don't like that he's sympathetic. So there's nothing I can say about that. The thing is, there's another thing about his character. He was scared in fucking Chainsaw 1. He was nervous all the time. Remember, he's freaking out because people keep coming to him and he has to keep killing to him. He became a killing machine, but it was always at the behest of fucking really Nubbins telling him what to do. Well, he was scared because he was a total introvert. He was a product of his environment, right? He was an introvert because he was forced to be like that, right? You're going to be you're true. You're always going to be nervous around people, outsiders, if you're not used to that type of shit. The character made sense in the original film. But I don't think you get past it, though. A little bit. Couldn't you see him be, this woman taking him under his wings, and she's not going to take care of you, stay here, you got nothing to worry about, and just he's a little timid about it because he doesn't have anyone anymore to direct him. I don't think it's that far of a stretch because of some of his mannerisms in the first movie. Okay, I don't know. So that's one thing, and then we got the sheriff. Really, 50 years, never found him, and then you show up, and then you die in like 3.5 minutes. See, I love that because they didn't fucking make it like a Laurie Strode. They kept it. They didn't make it the emphasis of the story. Well, if they would have made that the fucking core of the story, I would have been pissed off. But the way they did include it to me was perfect. But they kind of did. It just didn't make sense to even include it. But the whole thing with Chainsaw 22 is it's very much in the vein of Halloween 18, though. It's almost the same thing. It's like it's set, which is expected at this point. They always do this franchise movies. They all ape each other when they get popular, and they've been doing it since the fucking 80s. And that was kind of the thing I was kind of disappointed. I was like, man, they kind of rolled with that popularity of Halloween 18 a little bit and with this narrative a little bit, but they really did her character wrong. I was like, fuck. And it was like when she gets fucking projected up on that chainsaw and then she's like still alive at the end. I was like, fuck off, shut up. This is so stupid. I mean, that was ridiculous though. I mean, don't matter how much you can suspend your belief on shit. I mean, give me a fucking break. But I thought it was kind of comical, to be honest, like how much they just said fuck that character. I had fun. I like seeing it. But my problem with that though is that they kind of promoted the film of like, the return, she's still there. It's like 50 years later kind of thing. And I was expecting a little bit more from that kind of hype and setup a little bit. And I was like, oh shit, they really didn't do much with that except for just do her wrong. But see, that's why I liked it. Because the gore is fantastic though. And Laurie. The gore is fantastic. Try to do it that way. Yeah, it was. Good kills, shit like that. I don't know. I'm simple. Give me a bunch of kids. Give me a story I can follow. Because it seems like it'd be hard to do. That it shouldn't be hard to do, but it is. So many slashers are shitty. Get kids in an isolated place. You can get them fucking bumped off in gory ways, and I'm a happy guy. I wouldn't have much of a problem. I wouldn't have much of a problem with this film if it was like a standalone, but the fact that it is a direct sequel to the original film is what kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I think if this was like a way down sequel or even a standalone kind of film, I think it would work a lot better because you don't have that previous storyline, right? You're still thinking this is Leatherface. You're still thinking these things, right? It's a direct sequel. You can't get away from that, right? And I mean, especially for somebody like JP, it's his favorite movie of all time. Like, you have to have that connection to these characters and understand, like, you know, I mean, I don't think things would be like that. I just don't.
I get that, but it's no different than fucking what sequels usually do in just about every franchise that we're in. They're all fucked up. You always like, oh, how, you know what I mean? How many times have we complained about, well, this sequel did this, and
I think what I'm getting at here is stop making fucking sequels based off original films from 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of that trend now, too.
I guess I wanted it. Like, as soon as it happened, I said it on Exploding Heads. I go, I want to see a Friday the 13th. I want Ginny to come back. She's now a counselor for this and she's been through this shit. And Jason showed, and I said this a year ago, just after instead they did it with fucking Texas Chainsaw with her, but I like that idea. And
they're working on this shit
with that for Friday, just because I'll take anything Friday at this point.
You know they're working on the shit with Nightmare on Elm Street too. They're just gonna work on this sequel, like it's gonna be a direct sequel to the original film.
I'll take that as well.
Hell yeah. I'll take that.
At this point, I would too, because we're never gonna see another Nightmare film. Just the way it is.
I know. Sucks. By the way, I give Billy Club a 6.5.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess that's it.
I'm the wrong guy to have. Talk about 22 shots of fucking movie.
Oh no, we like this, but that's what we do. We talk, and people seem to like kind of misconstrue that a little bit. It's like, well, you guys kind of go off on these tangents. I'm like, but we're just talking, man. We're talking about what you want to hear. So
I mean, the whole point of a podcast is to talk. So I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah. Amen. No, I think it's funny. No, that's my favorite parts of the show. So I dig it.
And I will say. Right. And I will say, one of those movies, one of those good slasher movies that falls into, 2010 to 19. Did it come out then?
I started making a list the other day.
Fucking Happy Death Day is garbage. Fuck that movie.
I don't mind.
It's okay.
I don't fucking hate it. I never even bothered with the sequel. I'm like, fuck that shit, man. I know people seem to love that shit, man. I'm just like, no, not good.
I don't hate it. It's okay. But the second one I wasn't into, really.
Second one I didn't like at all.
Yeah, I wasn't putting myself
Freaky
through that
was
shit.
Good, though.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that was... we got all our ratings in there?
Yep.
JP, what'd you rate it?
Billy Club, I gave it 6.5.
Okay, all right. Well, highest on that one. I gave it a 7. I like it. All right, so that is going to conclude episode 224. Killer Baseball Flicks. Sounds funny even saying that. It's ridiculous. Dave, thank you for joining us once again. Might be back sooner than later.
Anytime, man. I hope so. Anytime I can make it. You guys need somebody, just call me. I'm in.
Sounds good to me, man.
So
sounds good. Yeah, no,
always a pleasure.
Good show. All right, well, I guess since we don't have the outro, we'll just play some audio clips. No, I don't have an audio clip. I'm just fucking with you guys. All the links are down below anyways, so that's all you need to know. We're out of here.
Peace.
Deuces.
Oh, mate, stop.